November 24th to December 2nd. When you buy ivermectin and select others, you get another one free. Please go to allfamilypharmacy.com/bill, place your order online, licensed doctor reviews it, handles the prescription, ships right to your door. Don't miss out. This offer is just for 1 week only. Please visit allfamilypharmacy.com/bill today. On this Wednesday, Steely Dan once sang about reeling in the years, and 2025 certainly fits into that category. President Trump returned with a vengeance, literally, driving his detractors into fits of irrational rage. Let me state this clearly. There is nothing wrong with opposing Donald Trump. That's called freedom of expression. But trying to hurt the president is another matter. This historian already knows 2026 will be extremely turbulent. That's because the anti-Trump forces have just one more shot at him. If Republicans hold the House and Senate next November in the midterms, the president will actually acquire more power than he wields now, and the progressive left will be his main target. Thus, liberal America, as well as their media allies, will attack Donald Trump nonstop next year. And if he is to prevail, the president must develop a better form of messaging, especially regarding the high cost of living. The key to Trump's future is cogent explanation, why he's doing what he's doing. I admire the president's accessibility, especially after the cloistered Joe Biden. But too often, Mr. Trump distracts the nation with personal feuds and self-defeating invective. A calmer, more verbally methodical Donald Trump would bolster him enormously because most of his policies are working. Back in a moment. Homeowners, when is the last time you checked your home title? Scammers are everywhere and they're targeting your equity. With just a single forged document, they can file at the county. So don't wait until it's too late. Find out if you are already a victim today. Please go to HomeTitleLock.com. Use the promo code BILL to get a free title history report, plus a free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Chance Scotch with your first alert forecast. Temperatures going to continue to climb towards the upper 30s today, partly cloudy skies. Eventually, as we head towards the late afternoon and early evening hours, we could see a little bit of a wintry mix across the area. Overnight lows cool back down towards the mid-teens across much of the area, then partly cloudy and dry as we head off throughout the rest of the week into the upcoming weekend. Temperatures into Thursday cooler, only looking at afternoon highs into the lower 20s across the region. For the first alert for Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Scotch.
We know it's early. Mike's not totally awake yet either. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on NewsTalkSTL.
Okay, everybody's talking about those election results in Tennessee and that special election. So when you look at those results, you compare it to what happened in Virginia. What do you think? Well, it's interesting. We'll get into that here a little bit, just a little bit later on, because a lot of people want to read into it. So what do you think? Yeah, a lot of ground to cover here. All right. Good morning. Mike Ferguson here. Thanks for making News Talk STL part of the day. As always, appreciate that. We had a conversation yesterday with retired Lieutenant Colonel Tony Minetti. He was a B-2 stealth bomber. You may remember him from when he ran for U.S. Senate several years ago. Well, he's got some pretty blunt thoughts on the Democrats who made that video calling on military personnel to ignore what they called illegal orders. Of course, when they're challenged on what's an illegal order, they couldn't come up with an example. But to Tony, there was a much bigger picture. And I think I frankly think some of the Democrats didn't realize the consequences of picking this particular fight at this stage of our politics. So here's what Lieutenant Colonel Minetti had to say about the whole thing.
When you first saw or heard that video and that audio of the elected officials saying, you don't have to obey those orders, you can ignore illegal orders, what was it that went through your mind? Because my understanding, and I have not served, is that the military code of justice is something that's pretty much drilled into everybody's head.
Nothing surprises me anymore that comes out of the voices of these radical left-wing Democrats, that all they try to do is undermine the president's authority. And it's sickened me, I'll tell you the truth, because it's clearly sedition. It's clearly undermining his served and have to carry out orders from the president and their generals and their commanding officers. And then to have political commentary clearly just fogging their direction, they question everything, is really despicable. And it's really shameful, especially someone that has served. The captain knows better. He's out there saying to degrade and challenge authority. And it really was all political. He's probably going to try to run for president. He's doing it just to undermine our president, who is doing what we elected him to do, securing our borders, targeting the chaos and lawfare that occurs, and literally trying to make a path right. I mean, you could define a woman now without having to look in Webster's dictionary. So let's be real here. This is purely political talk, just creating a crisis, and then all we do is respond to it rather than be proactive about it. And I'm very thankful for our president, who's taking the fight to the enemy and taking these narco-terrorists on now.
Colonel, let me ask you about the military aspect of this, because we got most of what you just said. There was a little bit of a drop off there, but obviously if I disagree with something, the president or the governor or anybody, I've got the freedom to say that. And I think they've got a right to disagree as well. But when it comes to calling on rank and file or commanders to say, assess whether or not this is a legal order, and if you don't think it is, disobey it, ignore it, what kind of impact does that have, or could that have, on military readiness? Politics aside, just on military readiness, because there's going to be a Democratic president someday who's going to give orders we don't like.
That's exactly right. It's degrading what we call good order and discipline in the troops. For them to have that fog now, well, is this legal? Is this authority? Is it granted? Should I obey? We all know what's legal and not. And we have something called the chain of command in the military, where if we don't agree with something, we go through our superior officers who up-channel it. And if they say, yes, it is legal, then you execute the order. And if you don't like it, then there's a channel for you to exit, So, yeah, it just degrades our readiness without doubt.
And so when you look at the politics of it, I mean, I think that we have a very, very good, frankly, rare system around the world where we do have civilian oversight of the military. I think that's a very, very good thing. But when it comes to these sorts of decisions on debating the orders and debating the missions and things like that, can we or should we insulate the rank and file from that and have those at the leadership level?
Yeah, you see, and that's a fantastic point. And I think that's exactly what our Secretary of War needs to do now, is hold these people accountable that were once military officers and now are degrading our chain of command. So I think they should take action against them. There's a time and a place to have debate on whether we should go to war or not. But once the president has made a decision, he is our commander in chief, and he's responsible for our defense. So I think you need to hold people like these seditious six accountable. Otherwise, it will continue to degrade. And all they're doing is creating a crisis. Most of us that are at the 40,000-foot level see this as purely just politics, creating a crisis and taking the attention away from other problems that are, occurring.
We're visiting with retired Lieutenant Colonel Tony Minetti, former B-2 stealth bomber pilot. Tony, when we talk about, for instance, the Pentagon saying they're going to investigate possibly calling Mark Kelly, Senator Kelly, back into service in order to be court-martialed, is that something that is legal? Because I had a couple other veterans send me some stuff, and the way that I was reading it, and not being military trained, I could be reading it wrong, is that you can be called back in for a court-martial if it's for something you did while in service. But if you've been honorably discharged and it wasn't connected to your service, there's questions as to whether or not they can be court-martialed once they've been discharged. What's your understanding of what could or should be?
Yeah, My understanding is, for one thing, I can tell you that officers can be recalled. I know I retired after 20 years of service, and then I was asked to come back and recalled back in active duty for 3 years. And there's the UCMJ, and I think it's 688 if you want to look it up, where there's guidance and legal framework. Because in the military, we don't have the same rights as Americans do. We have a military code of justice, and those laws are clear on what we can and cannot do. And if there's doubt, then you've got to go through the chain of command. So it is my understanding under the UCMJ of 688 that retirees can be recalled. And in this case, it is clearly conduct on becoming an officer, and he should be held accountable for his actions. And if you don't do that, it's going to continue to degrade our readiness. And it really is so hurtful to the men and women that are serving our country. Look at these guys that were shot in D.C. They're doing their duty. And then, you saw the ramifications of hateful speech that is clearly flaming the fires, in my opinion, of rebellion. And that is very scary. And Americans should listen to this, because I'm telling you, as an officer, it really saddens me to see politics getting so low that you have people literally doing this to our poor men and women that are serving, and they're trying to do their job. And now to have you question everything because you don't like who we elected as president is really hateful to our republic and our Constitution.
What does accountability look like to you? What should happen to those with military experience who said disobey the commander in chief if you feel like it?
Yeah, it's clearly sedition, and they should be court-martialed. They should be a trial. Everyone's entitled to a trial. Let's look at the evidence. Let the lawyers do their thing. But more importantly, let's make sure that the men and women serving our country understand that there is, consequences to our actions. And what these 6 intentionally did, it was just like a playbook. You've seen it in the past. They're just reading the same script, and they're doing it for one reason, to degrade the president's authority. We all know what sedition looks like. And it's like, imagine playing football and the coach calling in a play, and then every player just questioning, should we really do that? And then there's chaos, and we wonder why, there's problems on the field. Well, that's what they're doing by doing this. They're creating this framework where these men and women that are serving, maybe you shouldn't launch that missile. Maybe you shouldn't, execute the orders of the president or your chain of command. That is chaos, ladies and gentlemen. So you have to hold them accountable. And more importantly, I think we need to, as Americans, encourage our elected officials through our republic to encourage them to accountable. This will continue.
All right. Lieutenant Colonel Tony Minetti, and of course, with over 20 years of experience, what's your take on how that video from the Democrats was received of those who are in service right now? And I understand you're retired now, but how do you think that was received by the culture that is the U.S. military right now? Yeah,
I'm retired, and I did 24 years after I came back in for a little bit over 3 years, and I still have many friends that are serving. And clearly, most of them that are serving, we get it. We know this is politics, but we also see that this is crossing the line. Okay, you're crossing the line because you're affecting the men and women that serve and have to execute the orders of the president. And to me, it's hateful, it's shameful, and it's sedition. Call it what it is, and then let's hold them accountable. Otherwise, chaos prevails. I call it target the chaos. And unfortunately, we have many senators and congressmen that just don't have what it takes to do what's right. And I'm not going to just go too sideways on you, Mike, but like when we had the government shut down, they had an opportunity to bust this filibuster. It's not in the Constitution, but they didn't. They lost an opportunity. We need to have men and women that we elect that will do the will of the people. We the people. We are a republic. If we can keep it, like Benjamin Franklin said. So I would encourage you to just stay vocal, stay on your congressman and senator, and more importantly, try to give patriots a chance to lead.
All right. The book is called The Stealth Way, written by retired Lieutenant Colonel Tony Minetti. Tony, great chat with you again. Thanks so much.
My pleasure, Mike. God bless.
All right. Once again, retired Lieutenant Colonel Tony Minetti there. That conversation is up on the News Talk STL podcast page. Just wherever you get your podcast, look for News Talk STL. You can also subscribe to Mike Ferguson in the morning. And that conversation, real easy to send to somebody else. Couple clicks on your phone, couple clips on your laptop, and you can text it or email it to anybody who you think might be interested in that. All right, 314-912-1019. Oh, don't forget, I always try to remember to kind of keep this front and center. We've got the food drive going on, and this is going to continue for a couple more weeks or so. But as things get busier and busier with the holidays, please make it a point to be involved in the News Talk STL St. Louis County GOP food drive to benefit the ministry of Feed My People right here in St. Louis. Details are at newstalkstl.com. And matter of fact, one of the drop-off bins is right here at the radio station just off of Westport. So we'd love to say hi. If you can drop something off, just come on in and say hi. We'd love to greet you. So newstalkstl.com.
This is News 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton, and we're proud to be the official winter weather source for News Talk STL. The First Alert Weather Team is working hard to keep you ahead of the big weather changes and help you plan your day. So stay connected this winter with Channel 4 and News Talk STL.
Now, the Free Market Minute, brought to you by the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University.
Hey, it's Mike Ferguson from The Morning Show, and I'm here with Dr. Grant Black. And Grant, does having more economic freedom make a difference in people's lives, such as maybe helping reduce poverty?
It definitely makes a difference. Economic freedom is critical for fostering well-being and prosperity. It enables people to make their own choices and pursue their own interest, like choosing careers, starting businesses, and innovating to make the world better. It thrives in environments that empower people, promote competition, and protect property rights, all while being supported by limited and healthy government. Economic freedom is a catalyst for generating higher incomes, greater wealth, more opportunities, better access to education, and improved health at all levels of society. It makes a difference.
The John W. Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University fosters and examines market-oriented approaches to economic and social issues. To learn more, visit hammondinstitute.org.
JC's Wayback Machine.
This week on the way back, we bust open my exclusive collection of Christmas songs.
Oh, ho, 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 ho. Dashing through the snow. Oh, ho, ho, ho.
Also, we talked with the dude himself, actor Jeff Bridges, and lots of great songs from the 90s, 80s, and 70s. All brought to you by the Weber Automotive Group.
It's JC's Wayback Machine. Every Saturday night, 6 to 9. On News Talk STL.
Why leave your company's story to chance? In today's digital world, video content isn't just an option. It's essential for your success. At Blue Ocean Media Group, we've spent decades crafting compelling visual stories for businesses just like yours. From concept to completion, our award-winning team transforms your vision into powerful video content that connects with your audience and drives results. Don't trust your brand to amateurs. Partner with Blue Ocean Media Group. Visit blueoceanmediagroup.com today, and let's bring your story to life.
People ask all the time, who the heck is Low Cost Airlines? Well, we're not just one airline. When you're talking to us, you're talking to everyone. We are the discount supermarket for all airline tickets. Plus, we have all the airlines and always have the best prices. American, Delta, United, plus all the specialized international airlines and a lot more. And we make it easy. We guarantee you'll talk to a live human in 60 seconds. You can have the rate you need and have your trip booked in 5 minutes. Now, how cool is that? And remember, when you're talking to us, it's like talking to every single airline available with one fast phone call. All you need to do is call and find the best prices to fly wherever it is you want to go. So are you ready? Call Low Cost Airlines right now. 800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. That's 800-515-2397.
Up St. Louis, it's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, so we got the 2 off-year elections. Those are done. 2 elections done. And now we look ahead to the 2026 silly season of campaigns, to quote Tim Jones and steal something from him.
it really, I mean, again, being somebody that's new to the world, the way the world works, it really did feel like it was like, okay, we got the president elected, and now we can take a rest, and it just seems like it's just election after election now.
Well, yeah, because remember we got the presidential election last November, so just over a year ago, 13 months ago, and then you had the local elections in April, and then we had a couple special elections in the summer, and then we had the fall special election, and then we had the Virginia elections in New Jersey, and then we had Tennessee last night. So we'll get to that. Republicans, I'm sure you've seen the social media by now. Republicans held on to their seat. And I got some thoughts on, remember, I was questioning the polling in the media all around that. I guess it turns out there was a good reason to question it. It is 5:49 right now. Susie's going to be back in here in a few minutes. That's producer Jerome. My name's Mike. Congratulations to one Senator Nick Schroer.
Woo!
Yes, he and many other members of the Freedom Caucus are in Texas right now, and they are at the American Legislative Exchange Council conference that's up there. Nick was nominated for the Scalia Award for Restoring the Balance of Government, named after Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia, and he won. Yep. So he received that national award. Alec, of course, the left loves to demonize Alec, but Alec is actually, technically, it's a bipartisan organization. There are a few Democrats and there is mostly Republicans, but they are basically a free market basically they take policy best practices from around the country and they all exchange ideas. That is the legislative exchange. So they come in and say, hey, this worked here. You guys might want to think that. Hey, we need to do this. Anybody done that and had something to work? Yeah, we tried that. It sucks. Don't do it. That kind of thing. So there's actually a good place for it. But they had this national award. I mean, and there's a list of speakers with very big national names. And so Nick was given that award, and he accepted the award in very Nick fashion.
Oh,
with a cowboy hat. And so he posted on his social media that he won that award. And of course, some of the trolls are already out wanting to spoil the fun, which I just word to the trolls. I can't say word to the wise, but word to the trolls. Nick feeds off of your nonsense, and he enjoys just kind of slapping back at you. So feel free to get out there and try to do your left-wing troll thing, but he's not losing any sleep over, just so you know.
Yeah, and it's usually cringy when people in politics try to get into the memes and they try to come up with something, and you're looking at you like, okay, you're an elected politician. This is not your realm. When Nick does it, it is like chef's kiss. Like he understands the psychology behind it. He is fantastic at it. So give him all. I want to see how he's going to Photoshop and change it to make fun of you, because guess what? He won an award and you didn't. So
And Nick's got, of course, Stand and Fight here on News Talk STL and St. Charles Patriot Radio as well. He's got a couple shows for us on the weekend. And I'm sure he'll be talking about that, especially on Stand and Fight this weekend. But the American Legislative Exchange Council describes the Scalia Award as one of the prestigious awards presented by Alec. It recognizes individuals and organizations that have made significant contributions to the preservation and restoration of the balance of power. So that's what it's for. And this is again, national award.
And an award like this, I really do appreciate the fact it's bipartisan, that it can be applied to both. I don't think we're going to see, we're not going to see a whole lot of Democrats probably on that list for the years to come, which is a shame, because as much as I think a lot of Democratic voters are a little loony sometimes, it would be nice to see more people in government, regardless of affiliation, being recognized because you actually did something good. Right. And unfortunately, that's just not the reality we live in.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of loony Democrats, see, that's a segue.
Oh,
don't try this at home. I am a trained professional. All right. That Tennessee race, which again is a red area in a very red state of Tennessee. But as we were talking yesterday, Jerome, we were told by the pollsters that this was neck and neck, 2%, very close. The Democrats are anticipating an upset. They're going to flip this seat. And this woman that they nominated, Afton Bain, she nuts. She cray.
Yes.
I mean, she would get elected in New York City. She would get elected in Berkeley. I mean, one of those types. She's running in Tennessee, and media and pollsters kept telling us this was a neck and neck race. Trump won this particular district by over 20 points. That's how deep red this area is. Now, the winner was the Republican Matt Van Epps. It was not anywhere near what Trump carried, but he still won basically 45% to 54%. It was basically a 9% spread. This was not a close race.
Yeah, it was not necessarily a major landslide, but it was far enough ahead of they really sent that message home. And speaking of, she is kind of nutty. I looked into her a little bit because at this point I've learned when it comes to you and it comes to Chris Arps.
No, you cannot fix her, Jerome. I'm saying
I can fix her, Mike.
You cannot fix her.
But I've learned with you and Chris Arps not to question. When you say something, I'm like, you're probably more than likely correct. So I looked into it. And who's the bigger fool, though? The fool who says, I hate Nashville, or Nashville for turning blue and voting for her anyways.
I know. That's what's so funny. So I obviously not surprised at how this turned out, because I mentioned yesterday, I said, I have been saying for years, I think the state of political polling in this country is garbage.
Mm-hmm.
It's been that way for years. It is more push polling and activism than it is actual polling to try to get the pulse of what people are saying. So at this point, when it comes to candidates and campaigns, I would essentially ignore the polling and the consultants at this point.
I actually have a funny story about polling. This was closer to the election, but I was wearing my NewsTalkSTL hat, which if people haven't seen it on stream, it's red.
Yep.
And somebody came up to me outside the library I was leaving and said, hey, can I talk to you a little bit about this poll? I want to get some information. We're with this group. And I was more interested in learning about what kinds of people do this. Some person from the parking lot saw that, thought it was a MAGA hat, came running over and saying, let me tell you about these Trump people. And was going off and wanted their opinion. So I have seen it in real time where the people that are the ones going out of their way to answer a lot of these polls are very much further left because they want to be heard. They want to fight the establishment. And I didn't even answer any of the poll questions. I was like, why are you out here?
Yeah. And, it's kind of funny. And usually, because I've only gotten called a couple of times on surveys. And once, because they'll typically ask you what you do for a living.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of the fields that disqualifies you from being in the poll. So I work in, news media. And even though I'm not a news reporter or a journalist, but typically they're like, oh, well, they just consider you part of one of the activist groups, I guess. But
you call me, ask me for my information. You're not getting nothing. I'm going to either I'm going to ruin whatever data you were going to get from me, or I'm just going to say, no, thank you. And hang on.
Well, see, and I think there are some people who do that, who just do like to mess with it. But I think the bottom line is, I think a lot of these polls, they start with their conclusion. They knew that this was not going to be a winnable race for the Democrats. But boy, if they could get it close, because really what they wanted was that neck and neck finish to say, Trump won that by 20 points or 20 whatever points. And look how close the Democrats run. Shows you there's a blue wave coming in 2026. Look what happened in Virginia. And so now you've got dueling outcomes.
Hi, I'm Dr. Alan Link, owner of the Dental Link. You've heard ads about teeth in a day, but did you know that you'll be chewing on plastic, acrylic teeth? Here at the Dental Link, we can give you porcelain crown and bridge teeth utilizing mini dental implants that function much more like real teeth at about half the cost. Plus, mini dental implants are less invasive, less painful, and your recovery time is much shorter. Give us a call at 314-794-6464 or simply visit us today at thedentallink.com.
Jamie Allman here for O'Fallon Family Floors. Experience the passion. Oh, yeah. You can go in and see the best variety, the best pricing, the best quality, the best personalized service right there off of Highway K in O'Fallon, or you can have the store come to you. Oh, yeah. Brian and his team take great pride in running a fantastic flooring outlet, and you can get their 5-star ratings right there on Google. Just check it out. It's O'Fallon Family Floors, O'FallonFamilyFloors.com.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Bunny Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Bunny Radio every weekend on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeBunnyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
If you turned 65 recently like me, it's important you find a Medicare Advantage plan that gives you the coverage you're looking for. But finding one can be difficult. The best thing I did, and I suggest you do the same, is call a licensed insurance agent and let them walk you through your Medicare Advantage plan options. There are so many benefits you have access to, so make the call now and let the representatives explain everything to you. Our licensed insurance agents can offer you a variety of Medicare Advantage plans. Plus, the call is free, the information is free, and there's no obligation to enroll. We're here to make it easy for you to select a Medicare Advantage plan that may work for your needs. Finding a Medicare Advantage plan can be easy if you do what I did. Make a quick call right now to learn more. Thank you.
800-439-7851. 800-439-7851. 800-439-7851. That's 800-439-7851.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rep Thomason.
I am humbled beyond belief to stand before you tonight as your next representative.
Republican Rep Ben Keathley, winner of a special election for a seat in the U.S. House from Middle Tennessee's 7th Congressional District.
To President Donald J. Trump, thank you, sir. Your endorsement made the difference, and I will never forget it.
Ben Keathley defeated Democrat Afton Bain, keeping the seat in GOP hands. Defense Secretary Hegseth is defending a follow-up military strike on a suspected drug-running boat off the coast of Venezuela.
During a cabinet meeting with President Trump, Hegseth said that he did not see survivors in the water after the initial strike was conducted in early September.
The thing was on fire. It was exploded in fire or smoke. You can't see anything. You got digital. This is called the fog of war.
Hegseth said he was not in the room when the second strike was launched, but he staunchly defended Navy Vice Admiral Frank Mitch Bradley's decision-making.
Admiral Bradley made the correct decision to ultimately sink the boat and eliminate the threat.
Lawmakers have announced congressional reviews of the U.S. military strikes. Greg Clugston, Washington.
While describing the U.S.-Russia talks as constructive, a top Kremlin aide says there have been no breakthroughs toward ending the war in Ukraine. Vladimir Putin met yesterday with U.S. presidential envoy Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner at the Kremlin. A Putin advisor says the territorial issues key to ending the war have yet to be ironed out. Not guilty, the plea entered on behalf of an Afghan national charged with murder and assault last month's shooting of 2 National Guard members in Washington, D.C. First major snowstorm of the season has left up to a foot of snow on the ground in some places in the Northeast. The storm's impact felt from Ohio all the way up into Maine. On Wall Street, the Dow futures up 83 points, NASDAQ futures ahead 33. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Everyone is watching major movements ripple through the markets these days, sparked by new policy shifts out of Washington and activity from the Federal Reserve. Americans have faced uncertainty before, and every time, we've found our footing again. The real secret to long-term financial peace is simple. Keep your eyes on the horizon and understand the fundamentals that drive real stability. That's exactly why Advantage Gold is inviting you to call 800-741-GOLD right now. We'll send you a free Gold IRA rollover kit, along with a complimentary copy of economist Ken Rogoff's insightful book, Our Dollar, Your Problem. Inside, you'll learn how to defend your retirement savings against inflation, market swings, and reckless fiscal policies, with tangible assets like precious metals that have preserved wealth for centuries. It's no wonder Advantage Gold has been America's #1 gold company for the past decade. Take a smart step toward protecting what you've earned. Call 800-741-GOLD. That's 800-741-4653. Consult your financial advisor before investing. Call 800-741-GOLD.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Chance Koch with your first alert forecast. Temperatures going to continue to climb towards the upper 30s today, partly cloudy skies. Eventually, as we head towards the late afternoon, early evening hours, we could see a little bit of a wintry mix across the area. Overnight lows cool back down towards mid-teens across much of the area, then partly cloudy and dry as we head off throughout the rest of the week into the upcoming weekend. Temperatures into Thursday cooler, only looking at afternoon highs into the lower 20s across the region. The First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Koch.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
Is your pup in need of a spa day? At Pretty Little Paws, we believe grooming should be a stress-free, tail-wagging experience. Our one-on-one, fear-free grooming ensures your furry friend gets the gentle, personalized care they deserve. No noisy kennels or long waits, just love, patience, and expert grooming in a calm, relaxing environment. Because a happy pup means a happy you. Pretty Little Paws, with 2 locations in O'Fallon and St. Peters. Visit us online at prettylittlepawsgrooming.com.
Hey, it's Susie Moore. If new flooring makes you think hassle, think again, because Michaels Flooring is changing the game. For over 30 years, Michaels has been locally owned and trusted for quality, variety, and amazing service. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, laminate, luxury vinyl, or ceramic tile, their expert team makes installing new floors exciting, not stressful. That's why customers keep coming back. Visit Michaels Flooring at St. Peters, Starting Prairie, Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Joe Biden's FBI spied on former Congressman Louis Gohmert. Join us at 5:20 to talk about the fallout from the Arctic frost investigation.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
Big guy, one of the biggest in the world.
Susie Moore.
Do you think he's ready?
He's not ready. St. Louis.
I have a feeling that by the end of this evening, I'm going to be blamed for everything.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, this is your cousin.
All right. This should not be a surprise to anybody, but the Republicans add back another vote in the U.S. House. It's really not so much of a pickup as it is they defended one that's really a red seat to start with.
Absolutely. But
Yeah.
they needed to defend it.
Yeah, it was. So we'll get into that here in just a second, because we were just having the conversation about yesterday. I was talking about, I just think the state of polling right now in this country is garbage. This ended up being like a 9-point win. It was not the 1 to 2% neck and neck race that media and pollsters tried to tell us that it was.
No. I think I saw Cook Political has this as like an R+10 district. I mean, I know Trump won it at 22, but he's kind of he's unique.
Right.
But last night, as I was watching the results come in, because I was manning the desk after my long day, and there was a point at like 45% of the vote where it flipped and she was on top.
Which means Nashville's vote came in.
Correct.
Yeah,
But I was like, oh,
yeah.
With 45% in, I'm like, don't tell me it's going to be that close.
Right.
And then eventually it righted itself. And, so it was like, okay. But it caught me because I was like, was the polling right?
Yeah. Yeah. It turns out it was not.
No.
And so
Thankfully.
I've got some thoughts on that as well. Also, St. Louis County's spending problem is worse than we thought.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Sam Page has an idea though.
Oh, great.
That's the right response. It just is. All right. And a billionaire couple wants to help your kids invest.
Saw that.
This could be massive.
Could be
massive. All right. 6:07 right now. Let's go ahead and get started with a news dump.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out.
They got all the news.
The morning news dump.
All right. Tennessee Republican candidate Matt Van Epps is now Congressman-elect Matt Van Epps.
Woo-hoo.
He was elected to fill that House seat left vacant by former Congressman Mark Green's resignation. That election happened yesterday. He defeated Democratic candidate Afton Bain in what media tried to tell us was an unusually close race, but it ended up being like a 9-point difference in a pretty red area. Here's the congressman as part of his, Congressman-elect as part of his acceptance speech.
Together, we'll bring down the cost of living.
I'm tired of too many Republicans ceding affordability to the Democrats.
All right. And in other news, Afton Bain probably already interviewing at MS Now, formerly MSNBC. It turns out that sources in in Tennessee say that she's still cray-cray.
Hasn't changed
That
one bit.
has not changed.
Oh, she'll probably come back and run again.
Probably.
For something else.
So I have a friend that lives in Tennessee
Mhm.
and not in the district where she could have voted,
Okay.
but the moment that the results came back, she was sending out the group text saying, "Oh my goodness, that menace lost." Not that word, but
Mhm.
she was so excited. And she's like, who would even vote for somebody named Afton to begin with? So
People who only care if it's a D or an R.
That's exactly it. All right. The Democratic-run St. Louis County government is facing an $80 million budget shortfall in 2026. $80 million.
That's a lot of money.
Every time we get a new budget, it goes up about $10 or $20 million when it comes to how bad the deficit is. Now, that's according to County Executive Sam Page, who wants to use NFL and Rams settlement money and tax increases to make up the difference. The Republican minority on the county council, and to be fair, some of the Democrats, at least one of the Democrats, they say major spending cuts need to happen. Now, parts of the 2026 county budget could be voted on as early as next week.
Well, as you were saying that, I'm thinking is there no impetus on his and there's no initiative on his part to say, what can we do as on the spending side to rein it in? Not just give me more money, just give me more.
No, it's the latter.
I mean, I want to go through life like that. Just give me more money.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, Sam Page always runs to the NFL settlement money to do stopgap things instead of permanent things. And Dennis Hancock and Mark Harder and Mike Archer, they're all the Republicans on the council. They're saying that's not what that's for.
No.
That is for permanent infrastructure type, public safety type stuff, not we're spending more than we're taking in. Just go ahead and give us an allowance. That's not what that's for.
Get your financial house in order, Dr. Page.
Right. Yeah. In between, criminal.
I know you're busy with other stuff.
Exactly. Okay. So the former president of Honduras has been released from a U.S. prison after receiving a pardon from President Trump.
Juan Orlando Hernandez was sentenced last year to 45 years for helping drug traffickers move hundreds of tons of cocaine to the U.S., but he's a free man now after Donald Trump granted him a full and complete pardon. The president said he took the action because he believed the former Honduran president was set up. His pardon of a convicted drug trafficker comes at the same time as the Trump administration is taking military action against drug runners in the Caribbean. Greg Clugston, Washington.
All right. And speaking of those military strikes in the ocean, Senator Eric Schmidt was on the Ingram angle last night, talking about basically more and more people, including some on the right, who are now questioning, saying, wait a minute, is this the right approach? Is this even legal? And at least asking the questions.
Pete Hegseth is doing a good job. These narco-terrorists are poisoning 100,000 Americans every year. There was nothing wrong here. They're clearly justified in the action. What's really happening here, though, is the Democrats never wanted Pete Hegseth in the first place.
Yeah. So basically, let's rename criminal suspects narco terrorist, and then we've got a whole different platform to discuss the issue.
Well, I think it's a legitimate debate to have.
Yeah.
But I do think that it's being twisted by the Democrats and the left, and I don't agree with what they're doing.
Yeah. But is there a fair question to say, well, we don't have war declared. These are suspected drug runners, alleged. So do we just say, just kill them? And then in this case right now, there was a second strike because the boat was disabled. It was in the process of sinking, and we hit them again, apparently because there were a couple guys floundering in the water.
That's debated whether
Right.
that was the reason.
Yeah.
And that I mean, I think it's fair to look into it, and I think it's fair to have that conversation. I don't think it's fair to do what the Democrats are trying to do with it,
Which is
twist it into war crimes, war crimes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's have it. Let's have a debate and a discussion about what the extent of the executive and the military
Right.
power is. Is this appropriate? I'm fair. I'm totally fine with that, but that's not what they're doing.
Yeah, I would just love an honest discussion because there are fair questions on this.
There are.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Are you implying the politicians aren't being sincere in their debates in
I would
Washington, D.C.?
never.
Okay, just so we would never do that, just so people know. All right. Okay, so President Trump holds his 9th cabinet meeting of this term. And he was speaking to reporters at the White House, and he talked about the work on health care that he and the congressional Republicans are working on. And that's, of course, as the subsidies for Obamacare are set to expire this month.
The money goes to the insurance company. I want the money to go to the people. Let all the money go to the people. And let the people go out and buy their own health care.
And, of course, the Democrats just say, no, keep Obamacare the way that it is.
People can't be expected to handle their own money, their own financial affairs, and make those sorts of important healthcare decisions for themselves. We've got to do it for them.
You know, I keep getting these pitches for interviews by some pro-Obamacare groups, and they're saying, you know, we've got to extend these subsidies because, you know, a family making this is paying this much for health insurance, but if these expire, then they're going to pay this much, you know, premium B, shall we say? And I'm thinking, well, that means premium B is the actual cost.
Right.
And it has been the whole time.
Right.
So I'm reading that going, you're just taxing me to keep them from paying more money.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how it works.
Jeez, basic economics escapes so many people here. All right. Billionaire CEO of Dell Technologies, Michael Dell, and his wife, Susan.
Yep.
They founded the Michael and Susan Dell Foundation, creatively named foundation there. They announced on social media that they have committed to fund investment accounts for millions of American children.
We're making a $6.25 billion investment in America's kids through our charitable funds.
Next year, every American child will be able to get an investment account powered by Invest America.
Okay, so this announcement, the program is designed to work with the federal program that allows parents to open a tax-advantaged investment account for any child under 18 who has a social security number.
Okay.
So basically, you're here legally. Citizens born from the beginning of 2025 through 2028 may get a federal grant of $1,000, which, again, that's debatable as to what the role of government is on that. But having said that, the Dells have committed to seed those accounts with $250 for each child who is 10 years or younger and born before January 1st, 2025.
That's not nothing.
No, it's
that's
not.
I kind of like it. It's an outside the box kind of idea.
It is. It's the private philanthropy. Love that aspect of it. The government funding the purchase of stocks and bonds and secure. That's a whole thing that we should be discussing.
We should. But it's also, to me, it's about, like, you know, give a man a fish, teach a man to fish. So you're, you know, helping people start this process, but they're going to be the ones that are going to be adding into it if they want to help it grow and thrive.
If they're smart. Yeah.
Yeah. But I like the idea.
All right. The St. Louis County Animal Shelter in Olivet is waiving adoption fees today.
Oh,
yes. While the overcrowding is not as bad as it was before, there is still a need to find foster and permanent homes for the critters. All animals up for adoption have been spayed or neutered. They are up to date on the vaccinations. They are microchipped, and the animal shelter is open until 7 p.m.
Today's the day.
All at once depart, no destination, making cold mind to fight your war. Stop it right now.
I think you all know that I've always felt the 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
Can't you hear the alarm?
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli here with our great friend Chris Cooper from Serenity Wealth Management. Hi, Chris.
How are you, Vic?
I don't want to put anybody else down, but that when you go up and visit you at Serenity Wealth, your place looks like home.
So a lot of financial advisory offices, they have, you know, the big mahogany desk or the big marble entryways and things like that. The stock market channel on the TV when you walk in the door, right? That doesn't really drive a good conversation. Good financial guidance and advice starts with a good conversation. People are nervous. People are afraid to talk about finances, right? And so you can see a little standoffish. Well, my objective is to try to have a good, casual conversation. By having those conversations about life, goals, objectives, it's what makes me understand what our financials are supposed to fund.
So if somebody does want to have a good conversation, how do they do that? How do they find you?
Our website is the best way to do that because you can get all the information you need, understand where we are, get a little bit more information, all that. SerenityWealthNow.com.
Reach out to Chris and Stacy today at SerenityWealthNow.com.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on NewsTalkSTL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Hey, folks, Jamie Allman here for Newsteader's Fine Jewelry right there at Doherty Ferry and Big Bend, wowdiamonds.com. It's Wow Diamonds for a reason. These are beautiful lab-grown diamonds. They are gorgeous. They will blind you when you walk in and see them, but that's a good thing. Great engagement sets, wedding sets, all these beautiful God-created gems, sapphires, rubies, you name it, garnets, and also all the gold you need, and the famous bull of a watch, wowdiamonds.com.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey, folks, it's Chris Salcedo, your liberty-loving Latino on Newsmax. Everybody likes Mike Ferguson in the morning on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
All right, Republicans add that vote back in the U.S. House. I think that's the right way to frame it.
Yeah.
You know, they defended a seat on this. It's a red seat. It has been for a long time, going to be for a long time as well, which I'm sure drives the leftist in Nashville crazy. Because Nashville's kind of like other big cities in red states. You got the blue dot in the big red area.
Which is really interesting when you think about it, because Nashville, what's Nashville known for?
Music.
Country music. And it's, it's very Tennessee. Like, it's just kind of interesting
They
that
think they're known for barbecue, but
no.
It's minor league.
That's
it's minor
Maybe
league.
Memphis.
Again, Memphis, not bad. It's, I mean, there's very little terrible bad barbecue in the country. You have to go all the way to South Carolina for terrible bad barbecue. But
don't let the palmetto stay near you.
It's hey, if I want pimento cheese, I will go back to South Carolina.
Okay.
Actually, South Carolina's a beautiful state, but their barbecue sucks. But yeah, Memphis and Nashville barbecue, it's okay. Texas, pretty good. St. Louis, okay, it's cute. Kansas City barbecue,
probably one of the best.
Kansas City, you just can't go wrong. Just saying there. All right. But here's the thing: the GOP gets their vote back. Tiny bit of breathing room for Mike Johnson and the Republican caucus here.
They need it.
Yep. Matt Ben Epps indicated in his speech last night that essentially he's a MAGA guy. He's going to go along with pretty much whatever the president says that he wants. Part of that is, I think that's just his approach to things. And also the president, did do some work to try to get out the vote as well. Although I don't think the Republicans really had to worry about this particular seat, but
turnout though was an issue
because
you got to make sure that they're motivated. And I actually think that the Democrats' craziness helped motivate the Republicans.
Yeah, I want to get to that too. That's just because that's the one part of this I just don't get. I want to get to that here, but let's follow up what we're talking about a few minutes ago, and we were questioning this yesterday. The polling and the media, they want to sell a drama.
Of course,
this is neck and neck after Trump wins this seat by over 20 points. Or this district by over 20 points. The Democrats could flip it. This shows what's going to happen in 2026. And yesterday I'm going, I don't see it. Now, I don't think, that you're going to get Trump numbers in the district. I don't think anybody would. But, it turns out this is basically almost a 9-point spread, which is kind of a TKO. This is a no contest. I mean, this was not a close race. And it never was. But people still get worked up over media reports and political consultants and polling saying, oh boy, this is 1 or 2%. This could go either way. It's in the margin of error, which is the garbage they were trying to sell us.
Well, so there's two schools of thought on that. My mind has two schools of thought on that. Just my brain. One One
Both of
is
you.
all two of me. One of them is the sort of wish casting, like from the left, trying to say, this is really more competitive than it is, and Donald Trump's losing his grip on power and that sort of thing. And the other is from the right, trying to kind of put the fear of God into the electorate and make sure that they get out and vote, so you don't have an upset and you don't have a situation where you've got a very motivated Democrat voter base because they can't stand Donald Trump, and the idea of flipping a seat and giving him one less seat in Congress, supporting him, is just so tasty to them. You don't want to let that motivation overwhelm your sort of like, it's the middle, it's December, I got Christmas shopping to do, it's red, he's going to be fine, because that can happen.
Yeah, and that's, I think, and by the way, I love the word wish casting. That's an awesome word. I think we're trademarking it for the station and the show. That's exactly what it was, because if you can convince people that it is about neck and neck, it is an incentive and motivation,
right?
That goes on. The reality is different, but the Democrats basically are Jim Carrey going, so you're saying there's a chance.
Exactly.
Is essentially what that was. But, if reality were presented, then is there a lower voter turnout? Yeah, but the results are still going to be 10%.
It's a motivator either way. It's a motivator to give Democrats hope that they maybe have it, and a reason to get out and vote because they could do it. And it's a motivator to get Republicans out because, oh my gosh, they could do it if we're not careful.
Right.
And then it's like, it's clicks, it's eyeballs, it's attention, it's media drama.
It is clicks. It is digital dollars for media. And that's what it is. It is click.
Be interesting to see which polling outfits were the closest on this and which ones were way off.
Right.
Because that should tell you a little bit about either their methodology or their motivations.
I think it's, I mean, if it's methodology, it just shows that they either have not figured out how to keep up with the changing electorate, or I think it's motivation. I think they're starting with, here's what we think, or this is what we want. Let's figure out a way to make the numbers fit. And that's why I don't buy into any candidate or political polling at this point. Now, there's the internal polling that's never released to the public, and occasionally I'm given access to that just because of some of the folks we work with. That's a whole different thing.
It is,
because the motivation is we need to know where things actually are. And then there's the public polling, which I think is designed to influence.
Yes.
At least as much, if not more so, than to reflect.
Was Ann Seltzer involved in this in any way? Just wondering. Where is Ann these days?
Yeah, retired.
Laying low.
In shame.
Trying not to get sued.
Okay, so let's go to what you were just talking about a second ago. Tennessee's a red state. I don't think I had a number of relatives who lived there. I think they moved down to the Georgia side now, but Tennessee's a conservative area. Even Nashville and Memphis are blue areas, but overall, it's like Missouri. Tennessee is a red state.
It is,
and this is a red district. So why do the Democrats keep running lunatics? I mean, who thought, I know what's going to give us a fighting chance? Let's give us Midwestern Kamala. And somebody who has been on record of saying the biggest area of the state or this district, I really hate them.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, because that's probably the most surprising thing. Not that the polls were wrong, because we know, everybody should know better than that now. But when you look at the actual way that the maps went, the area that she said she hated,
they voted for her.
They actually voted for her. And it doesn't make sense. If you tell me, hey, I hate people that live in St. Louis County, then guess what? You just lost my vote.
It's the old hard to get thing. Like you want to win someone over. If they don't like you, you try to.
Is this prom queen mentality?
Maybe. I don't know much about like what the options were for the Democrats. Did they have other viable candidates that they passed over? Maybe because, she's attractive, young. And I know they feel like the kind of progressive wing has been picking up steam. You've had the wins like Mamdani and things like that. So were they snowed by that and they just overlooked the fact that she just really wasn't gonna? I don't know, but Democrats don't hold a monopoly on failing to vet their candidates properly.
Very fair.
We've been burned by that before. We've had candidates that you're like, whoa.
We had a few lunatics. We got a couple, I would say, are bordering on that in the Missouri legislature.
It happens. It does happen. And maybe it's just one of those things. But you think for a congressional seat, it's high profile enough that you're going to have quality candidates to sift through.
Right.
And the fact that they went with this one shows that they didn't vet her very carefully. Is, to my knowledge, this is one of her first races. I mean,
But
she
I know
hasn't been in
she
the
ran for something before and
But-
lost. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah.
I think she might have been a state rep or something.
Oh, was
like
she?
that,
Okay.
yeah. Or state. Yeah, but this is somebody like her wins in Berkeley, wins in New York City, maybe wins in Northern Virginia. This is flyover country.
Right.
I mean, does this mean that the Democrat, because it used to be like, for instance, people around Missouri, excuse me, more accurately, Missouri.
We're getting you choked up, aren't we?
Yeah, exactly. They would talk about, well, I'm a Democrat, but I'm a Truman Democrat.
Yes.
You know, or at one point there were a few people who said, well, I'm a Carnahan Democrat.
Mhm.
You know, basically I'm a Democrat, but I'm not a crazy leftist.
An Ike Skelton
And
Democrat.
a Skelton Democrat, definitely an Ike Skelton
I
Democrat. Yeah.
love Ike.
And so that's the type of Democrat that held on in red states for a long time. And so have the Democrats in even flyover country decided that we are going all in on the extremism and there's no in between. And there are no more Ike Skeltons. There are no more Mel Carnahans, although Mel Carnahan was farther to the left than Ike Skelton was, but no more Trumans, no more Kennedys, it's AOCs,
Yeah.
I mean, even in the middle of the country.
If they are, it's a miscalculation.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you do want to pick up, a kind of a surprise upset, you're going to have to run with somebody who isn't so far to the extreme that people are going to be turned off, and that you're going to have like the ads write themselves when you've got her quoted saying some of the things that she said.
Oh yeah, it's on audio.
Yeah.
I had it just showed up in my social media this morning. I'm like, yep, she said it.
Yep.
They're not taking it out of context. And she said, I hate country music.
That's very bold.
She wanted to
bold
represent
strategy, Cotton. Let's see how that worked out for you.
She wanted to represent Nashville. And she's like, I hate country music. Listen, I'm not a country music fan myself. I like the old school stuff back from the day, but I'm not going into Nashville and saying your country music sucks.
I just feel like running here in St. Louis and saying, I hate the Cardinals and the Blues.
Right, exactly.
Well, okay. You might be in the wrong spot.
Good luck with that.
That arch is an eyesore.
Yeah,
Please
right?
vote for me.
Right. Yeah. Well, hey, it's still 2020. Still 2025, but the politics of 2026 are officially happening in Jefferson City. At 6:35, Representative Ben Keathley updates us on the work to protect your wallet and move the show me state in a more freedom-focused direction.
Oh, hey, look, there's the arch.
Oh, hey.
Mike Ferguson in the morning
The Republicans aren't perfect, but the other side's crazy.
on News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Chance Scotch with your first alert forecast. Temperatures going to continue to climb towards the upper 30s today, partly cloudy skies. Eventually, as we head towards the late afternoon and early evening hours, we could see a little bit of a wintry mix across the area. Overnight lows cool back down towards mid-teens across much of the area, then partly cloudy and dry as we head off throughout the rest of the week into the upcoming weekend. Temperatures into Thursday cooler, only looking at afternoon highs into the lower 20s across the region. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Scotch.
Are the days of a personal doctor gone? Not at Body of Health Direct Primary Care. I'm Dr. Randy Tobler to share how our design is putting the care back into healthcare. Plain and simple, our members, not insurance companies, get our exclusive focus. That means same or next day appointments, responsive answers to your concerns, and a no-spin, big tool chest approach. It's about time you get serious time devoted to your medical needs. To learn about healthcare the way it ought to be, schedule a discovery call today at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
Hi, it's Ken Williams, and my favorite Capriati sandwich is the Cap Pastrami. You've got hot pastrami, melty Swiss cheese, crunchy coleslaw, and zesty Russian dressing. What else do you need? I love Capriati's, and you will too.
On Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Kate Monroe. I was in the Marine Corps. I don't think people really understand that the National Guard is essentially your neighbors. I mean, this would be like your house is on fire and all the great men and women on your block that are capable of helping you put out said fire, you call the police on them and then let your house burn down. That is essentially what these cities are doing because Orange Man wants to send people to help us. We're going to go ahead and let it just burn down.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Hey, Columbo.
Humble here for Rockwood Charcoal. Rockwood is made from 100% pure Missouri oak and hickory, so you're cooking with the best and supporting local industry and a local business all at once. There's over 100 area Rockwood retailers. Find yours at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
Thanks for being my voice in all this.
This is News Talk STL.
There are people out there that feel the way that I feel and say what I say.
Welcome home.
Hey guys, Billy Crow here from Jeffco Patriot Radio. Hope you had enough time to freshen up your coffee, because now we're back with Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, 'tis the season
to be
filing bills in Jefferson City.
Because I knew you weren't going to say jolly.
Oh, heck no.
Grinch.
I don't do that. I don't do that Christmassy stuff.
I meant to come in here with a Christmas sweater on today just to kind of bug you,
Just
but I
to irritate
forgot.
me. It's too early for Christmas stuff.
It's December.
I don't care. Bah humbug.
Y'all see what I have to work with here?
I'm not telling you. It's a hashtag bah humbug. All right. But what's happening now is the pre-filings up and running in Jefferson City. We're now joined by State Representative Ben Keathley. And Ben, okay, so this isn't the first time that everybody's thought about the legislation for 2026. There's been a lot of discussions and a lot of work and a lot of meetings. And now you can just sort of put it into actual writing and file it. But when you look at the trends that you're seeing so far, there's always going to be a nutty thing here and there. There's going to be a statement thing here or there. But of the things that are likely to be taken very, very seriously, what are the sort of trends that we're seeing in Jefferson City to give us an idea of what really to keep an eye on as to what could get done?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of the energy and momentum this year seems to be around a lot of the tax reform stuff. A lot of people have, spent a year looking at these crazy assessments they've gotten, much higher rising tax bills. You've seen taxing jurisdictions panicking over their revenue increasing just slightly slower after the senior tax freeze and putting all these new tax hikes on the ballot. And people are freaking out, rightfully so. And I think this will be a big area that the legislature is going to try to take a chunk out of the property tax scams that are going on all over our state.
Ben, this is Susie. Good to talk to you. In previous sessions, we've run into this situation where there's a lot of great agenda items and there's a momentum, and we're kind of hopeful that a lot of these items are going to get passed, and then something kind of comes up. Either there's a kind of a pushback by leadership, or somehow things get hung up. Are you seeing obstacles to these primary agenda items this year?
Well, I think the biggest obstacle this year is going to be, I think a lot of people don't know what to expect from the Senate. Last year was a very strange year, one we haven't had in a while. You had a unified Republican Party in both the House and the Senate moving on some pretty big ticket items, everything from initiative petition reform to Amendment 3 clawbacks to the 7-1 congressional map redistricting. A lot of big things, including, IP reform, which was thought, something Republicans just could not get it together to cooperate to get something across the line. We accomplished that stuff last year. And a lot of it was done with Republicans finally, standing up to the super minority Democrats in the Senate. But will that, how is that body going to function this year?
Yeah. So, I mean, it seems to me that in the Republican caucus, not just the Freedom Caucus and the more hardcore conservatives, but the caucus overall, it seems like the debate isn't should we reform and cut taxes, it's how are we going to do it. I love that that's where we are in the debate. And kind of to echo what Susie was just saying a second ago, is the how going to possibly get in the way of actually successfully moving something to the finish line? Because we've had it with the taxes. I mean, it just, something's got to give at this point.
And I would say this on income tax, and that's why I think last year was a really telling, first step on where the caucus was headed on conservative priorities, but especially on income tax. You had you had I think it was 9, 10, 11, mostly senators filing income tax, zero income tax bills, and they were all word for word the exact bill. I've never seen an issue like that everyone was, and an issue that is honestly quite complicated in terms of, how you're going to get there, how you're going to go over time, what pace you're going to move at, how are you going to replace any of the revenue to the extent you want to. But everyone was kind of unified on that. I think what makes a big difference too, and now we're getting the boost from, you have a governor who is just completely focused on this issue, and it's a lot easier to kind of keep keep everyone in the barrel headed the same direction when you have that kind of leadership from a governor who's focused on that one issue.
Ben, I feel like this might become a topic of conversation that wasn't necessarily anticipated, but we saw a perfect example on Monday of one of our state agencies failing to meet the moment. MoDOT, I think, is rightly being raked over the coals for its failure to anticipate and prepare for the snowstorm that we got on Monday. And,
You mean
obviously,
the one that was in the forecast for okay.
yeah, the one that I was looking at my phone app and going, oh, the snow's coming in now. So I don't know what, from a legislative perspective, obviously there's oversight, but if there's any movement or if you see any impetus for perhaps stronger oversight or reimagining how that agency operates.
Well, we've had to, and I think there have been some of us for a while who've been saying there's a big problem here. We have a rogue state agency that has been entitled by the courts and the Constitution to their own funds, where they don't have to go to the legislature for appropriations. What that means is your elected officials in Jeff City, they don't know what's happening. They don't know where the money's being spent. And, a prime example was last year. This resulted in a $52 million wasted project on these curb bump outs in West County on Long Road and Clarkson Road. We got those pulled out by filing legislation, but it's difficult because there's no direct mechanism of control for the legislature. The House and Senate are supposed to have the power of the purse. We're supposed to be funding state agencies, and that's good. That's because we're the representatives of the people. We're the ones ultimately who have to face the accountability to the voters for our decisions. But unelected bureaucrats like those in MoDOT don't have to. And I think, after decades of that system bearing out like that, Missourians are starting to see the problems of what happens when you have unaccountable people making decisions on their own.
I had an hour and a half to think about that on 270 the other day.
It's quality time.
Good God.
I had 3 hours coming back from Jeff City on the snow. On Monday.
Yeah. So now you mentioned that the courts and the state constitution have decided that. So is this a matter of there needs to be legislative changes? Because it probably surprised a lot of people, Ben, to hear that the legislature itself, which has oversight of every other department in the state, doesn't have that sort of oversight with MoDOT, because there's a lot of people wondering, why are the same people in charge who keep failing over and over and over? This isn't the first time this has happened with MoDOT in St. Louis.
Well, I think overall, we do need to exercise better oversight over all the departments. And I filed legislation, or will be filing legislation with the REINS Act to make sure we do that. But with MoDOT, there's the added component of the funding mechanism, the appropriations process. They have independent appropriations. They have money. They have revenue streams that go directly into them, and so it becomes very difficult to control what's being done. Those systems have to be changed. We need to make sure we're getting back to a place and changing the rules, changing the laws to make sure that the legislature, like it does everywhere else, the legislature is appropriating the money that goes into MoDOT, and we're saying what projects need to be done and where MoDOT should be focusing.
We've talked about initiative petition reform, but one of the things that's kind of become a hot topic too is the referendums and the people that are out soliciting signatures for these petitions, a lot of whom apparently are not from the area, not from the state even necessarily. What can from the legislative perspective, what all can you do to sort of tackle and push back against perhaps out of state influence on these petitions situations?
And right now, does exactly what Susie's describing, is it legal for somebody to come gather petitions in Missouri if they are not a resident or voter in Missouri?
It is. And this is exactly what, a lot of us have meant when we said the problem with the initiative petition reform process, or the initiative petition process, as we see here today, is our Constitution is for sale. With enough money, you can get anything you want on the ballot. It doesn't get vetted by a lawyer. It doesn't automatically get vetted by a court unless you challenge it. And a lot of times the courts aren't really willing to stand up once you've had so many and say, no, this doesn't work. And when you've had so many signatures on a petition, the problem is with enough money, I can hire enough out-of-state workers and I can hit my magic number of signatures. That's not a good way for us to run our foundational document. We've done certain things already, like banning the foreign money, the money from outside of the country that was coming into our state to gather these signatures. We've done, we've tried to work on some other things like, the information that's gathered that makes it easier for these signatures that end up on these petitions to actually be gathered. But ultimately, the thing that needs to happen, and the thing that's going to the ballot next year, is we just have to increase the threshold for amending our Constitution. It is not fair to the people of Missouri to give them 50-word ballot summaries that are standing in front of 30 and 40-page constitutional amendments and act like we're informing the voters of what we're actually doing to the Constitution. It's totally inadequate.
Yeah, and also let me just put a point of clarification out there. Somebody says you're taking away the right of the people to redress government. We're not talking about ending the referendum process. If you say there ought to be a law or we want to repeal that, nothing on that has changed. The reforms you're talking about are only for state constitutional amendments. And I think that's an important distinctive that frankly, a lot of people are too lazy to embrace the nuance.
Mm-hmm. I think that's right. There's still an initiative petition process. The point is, we cannot have a system where you have voters who the special interests are quite frankly refusing to inform and putting ballot candy out there, telling the voters that this is about doing one thing and when they're really doing another, and there's this bait and switch going on that the voters have no chance of seeing in those summaries. And then it's easier to amend the Constitution, or it's easier to amend the Constitution than it is to pass a law. That is a broken system when you're constantly going to the foundational document of your rule of law and changing that rather than changing the statutes.
Okay, so obviously we're going to have an IP question on the ballot in 2026. Is there anything legislatively in the meantime that can or should be done to tweak it, or is it all about the vote in 2026?
I think the big things we need to continue working is that signature gathering process. These don't require constitutional amendments. These are statutory fixes on the procedure behind how people can gather signatures, what those signatures look like, and also what the system looks like that vets the language. It's difficult to vet the language because the way the Constitution works is once signatures go on to a petition, there's some minor changing that goes on, but the overall principles and ideas have to go into that, whether they're in the ballot summary or not. And what we need to do is strengthen the oversight process on that too. I think people, when they show up to vote and they see stuff on the ballot, I think there's an assumption that this stuff has been well vetted. It made it to the ballot. This must have gone through however many attorneys and judges. That's simply not the case. With enough money, I can put whatever I want on the ballot. I can say Mickey Mouse needs to be the ruler of Missouri, and I can change the ballot summary language, and I can get signatures by telling people something else. Be careful what you're signing out there. They're almost never being honest with you about what's actually in there.
And to be fair, Mickey Mouse would be a better leader for St. Louis County in particular than what we have.
Absolutely. I'd get on board with that.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. All right. State Representative Ben Keathley. Hey, appreciate the update. I know that the busy work is already underway, but the crazy stuff gets started in 3.5 weeks or so.
Yep. Thank you. I appreciate being here.
Thanks, Ben.
And Susie and I will be there on opening day of the legislative session on January 7th. We will be doing the program from the Capitol that day.
Yeah, and I'll be all alone by my lonesome in the office.
The ship.
Or maybe I will have a four-legged friend with me. So they'll tell you how you can find your family's next four-legged friend without paying the adoption fee. That's coming up in the news dump at 6:50.
Live and local.
Well, here's what's on my mind. I think I got the solution to immigration.
News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion.
Kathy Connor from Connor Roofing is here. Kathy, how you doing?
Good.
Good. Hi, Vic.
You know, when you need a roof, I don't want to call a stranger. I want to call you.
Yeah, thanks. At Connor Roofing, we're more than just a roofing company.
How long you been doing it?
Since 1993.
And year after year, storm after storm, you guys are always there.
Because this is our home too, Vic. Our kids go to school with your kids. We cheer for the same teams. Go Blues!
So support your neighbors. Call Connor Roofing at 314-375-7475 or CONNER roofing.com.
Thanks, Vic.
This holiday season, help Feed My People fill the shelves. NewsTalkSTL and the STL County GOP are partnering for an annual food drive, November 10th through December 21st. Drop off your non-perishable food donations at all Bartolino's restaurants, all Chris's Pancakes and dining locations, and all 3 Michael's Flooring outlets, or at the NewsTalkSTL studios.
Hey, it's Chris Arps, and together, we can make a difference for families in need.
Visit NewsTalkSTL.com for complete drop-off locations.
Report cards are a good way to show how well your kids are doing in class and where they might need improvement. We at the Show Me Institute believe schools should get grades too, so parents can see how their child's school compares to others. That's why we came up with the Missouri School Rankings Project. Click on the website moschoolrankings.org and it's all there. Rankings and letter grades for all the schools in Missouri. The rankings are based on categories such as student performance in English language arts and math, ACT scores, and graduation rates. Then we take the rankings and come up with a grade point average, just like your child has. Each school and district has a grade, and the website is easy to use. And now we've added spending data for every district, so parents, taxpayers, and policymakers can see where the money is going. Don't you want to know how your child's school stacks up? Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Bill O'Reilly here. Check out the O'Reilly Update this afternoon at 3:45. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, you probably heard the news already. Republicans add back another vote in the U.S. House. They lost it earlier this year with a resignation. Now they get it back on Election Day.
Yay.
And also, St. Louis County's spending problem is even worse than what we thought. I cannot say I'm surprised to hear that. It just gets worse every year. But Sam Page has an idea.
I can't wait to hear how great that idea is.
I don't think you're telling the truth right there. I'm just
Okay,
all right.
busted.
And also, as Jerome was saying just a couple of minutes ago, you're thinking it's about time to add that furry friend to your home. You can do that today without paying the adoption fees. I'll tell you where and how. It is 6:50 at the moment. Let's go ahead and dump some news on you here.
The Morning News Dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks, the Morning News Dump.
All right. The special election in Tennessee results in Matt Van Epps being elected, and he's going to Congress, which means one more Republican vote is added back to the tally because this was a Republican seat. This was a special election to fill the term of Mark Green, who resigned earlier.
We're losing all the Greens.
All the Greens, exactly. Now, if we can only get Megan Green to resign. Okay. He beat Democratic candidate Afton Bain. And here is Matt Van Epps, at his victory speech saying, here's what the focus is going to be.
Together, we'll bring down the cost of living. I'm tired of too many Republicans ceding affordability to the Democrats.
Yeah. So that's the word of the day is affordability. We used to call it cost of living. We used to call it a bunch of different things. But after the Virginia elections that went entirely in the Democrats' way, media doesn't seem to understand that, well, the East Coast has a different mindset than flyover country.
I was just thinking when you were saying that, some of us used to think of it as keeping your head above water.
Yeah. Surviving.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I just had a little Jefferson Starback.
Okay. Oh my goodness. All right. The Democratic run St. Louis County government is now facing an $80 million budget shortfall in 2026. That is according to County Executive Sam Page, who wants to use NFL Rams settlement money and, of course, some tax increases to make up the difference. Did you notice what was not in that sentence anywhere?
Stop spending.
Yeah, that wasn't anywhere in that sentence. The Republican minority on the county council, and to be fair, at least one of the Democrats, they say that major spending cuts need to happen. This is common sense. This is the mathin'. Because Sam Page's math ain't mathin'.
Go figure.
Yeah.
Well, he's a doctor, not a mathematician.
I think he's doing his anesthesia on himself. Part of the 2026 county budget could be voted on as early as next week, although the entire budget will not be, but there could be parts of it.
Okay.
Oh, goodness. All right. The former president of Honduras is now released from a U.S. prison after receiving a pardon from the president.
Juan Orlando Hernandez was sentenced last year to 45 years for helping drug traffickers move hundreds of tons of cocaine to the U.S. But he's a free man now after Donald Trump granted him a full and complete pardon. The president said he took the action because he believed the former Honduran president was set up. His pardon of a convicted drug trafficker comes at the same time as the Trump administration is taking military action against drug runners in the Caribbean. Greg Clugston, Washington.
At the very least, it's a weird look.
I was just going to say it's an odd juxtaposition.
It's a weird look.
Yeah, it makes you do a little double take there. Now, if in fact he was set up, if in fact there's some justification for that, and I just don't know, then I get it. But yeah, right now in this moment, it does seem a little odd, but I suspect there's more going on than we're really seeing.
Still a weird look.
It is a weird look.
Yeah.
I'm not denying that.
Issues the pardon in between the missiles.
Yeah. Like I said, I suspect there's a lot more to this that we're not seeing. We're just seeing the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot of stuff going on underneath, but this is the surface. But it is a weird look.
Yeah, it's 14D chess is what.
No, I'm not even saying that. I'm not even saying that. I'm just saying we're not always privy to some of the information that the people in charge are operating with, and there may be some very solid strategy going on here.
All right, President Trump holding a cabinet meeting, 9th cabinet meeting of this term. And then speaking with reporters at the White House, the president says the administration is working on a healthcare proposal. And of course, this is coming as the tax subsidies for Obamacare is set to expire this month.
The money goes to the insurance company. I want the money to go to the people. Let all the money go to the people. And let the people go out and buy their own healthcare.
And of course, the Democrats are still demanding that we just keep those subsidies going. I think one of the votes that's coming up here pretty shortly would be a 2-year extension of everything as is, including the cost inflating Obamacare subsidies.
Yeah.
I think the Republicans have the numbers to go, yeah, no, we're not.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening. I mean, there's probably going to end up being some sort of compromise that we're not particularly thrilled with.
I suspect you're right about that. All right. And I hope that happens after I've begun my vacation at the end of the month. Okay. Just saying. A landmark ruling from a Texas court. This is interesting. Michael Harrington has the story.
District Judge Sidney Fitzwater has ruled that prisons cannot house men who are living as women with inmates who are actual biological women. The decision is a victory for 2 female prisoners at the Federal Medical Center Carswell in Fort Worth. The facility houses inmates who are suffering from physical or mental disabilities. The plaintiffs say several men living as women have been harassing and abusing female inmates.
Go figure.
Yeah.
That's interesting because there's about 3 or 4 of those suits pending and that have gone the other way. But most of those have been in like the DC District Court and a couple of other more blue districts, if you will. But yeah, when you think about that from
Now, given the different results of these, is this one of those things that eventually is going to end up before the Supreme Court?
You betcha.
Yep. And I have a feeling that they will probably make the right decision given the current makeup.
I think so. Yeah. I think so. But I mean, I hope they do.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. All right, the St. Louis County Animal Shelter in Olivet is waiving adoption fees today. Yep, while the overcrowding, it's not as bad as it was before, but it's still a thing, without a doubt. They need to find foster and permanent homes for all of the critters. So all the animals that are up for adoption and also fostering, they have been spayed or neutered. They are up to date on their vaccinations. They are microchipped and the shelter is open until 7 p.m. tonight.
All right.
And that is a fantastic deal because of the time it takes normally.
Right.
So you are basically, fresh out the go, nothing else to worry about.
Yep. So you
Sweet.
can look that up on the county's website or just go out to the animal shelter and
Yeah.
all of it if
Yeah,
you want.
you can.
Will Wilson Contreras remain a Cardinal? Yeah.
Question.
Multiple reports now say that he's let the team know he's willing to be traded if he likes the team they want to deal him to. He's got a no trade clause in his contract, but reports say he would waive that for a team that is the right fit. Now, let me tell you, baseball terminology, baseball vernacular, right fit is basically baseball talk for any team that could actually go to the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's essentially what we're looking at.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL 1019. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. These pills work for men and women to improve their sexual performance. And now for the price of 2 or 3 pills, you can get nearly 100. There's no need to pay expensive prices for Viagra or Cialis. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Change your life for the better and have fun. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
800-631-2030. 800-631-2030. 800-631-2030. That's 800-631-2030.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. Committed to enforcing federal immigration law, the Trump administration's reportedly launching a roundup focusing on illegal Somali immigrants in Minneapolis-St. Paul. It comes amid a massive Medicaid fraud scandal in Minnesota, along with rampant gang activity. All of this prompting President Trump to declare Somalis not welcome here.
The president ended his Tuesday cabinet meeting with a tirade against Somalis living in the United States, complaining they add little to American society.
I don't want them in our country. Their country's no good for a reason. Their country stinks, and we don't want them in our country. I could say that about other countries, too.
In recent days, he's described Minnesota, which is home to the largest Somali community in the U.S., as a hub of fraudulent money laundering activity. Greg Clugston, Washington.
President Trump has officially terminated all pardons or communications signed by the infamous auto pen during President Biden's term in office. In Tennessee.
What a night. We did it.
He certainly did. Republican Matt Van Epps has won the special election for a U.S. House seat in a very close race with Democrat Afton Bain.
Van Epps defeated Democratic opponent and state lawmaker Afton Bain to keep the 7th congressional district in GOP hands. President Trump backed Van Epps. The special election followed Republican Congressman Mark Green's resignation this past summer. This congressional race saw a surge in spending.
Correspondent Andrew Stewart. Official winter still several weeks away, but it's already looking a lot like winter across parts of the Northeast, where a storm dumped as much as a foot of snow in some spots. This round of winter-like weather left its mark from Ohio to Maine. Dow futures up 116 points. NASDAQ futures ahead 50 points. More on these stories, townhall.com.
This is Dennis Prager for AmFed Coin and Bullion. There's something about the feel of a gold coin in your hand and the way the light reflects off its intricate details that has always captivated me. Nick Grovich, AmFed's owner, turned that same passion into his livelihood. Nick began collecting coins as a teen, and that interest grew into a nationally respected business offering only the finest quality coins at the most competitive prices. But the truth is that although Nick is a rare coin dealer, he doesn't believe in rare coins. Rare coins do not make sound investments, but they do make dealers a lot of money. See, that's part of what I respect about him. AmFed specializes in buying non-performing numismatic coins and turning them into gold or silver investments that provide liquidity and perform competitively against the market. Whether you're buying or selling, call 800-221-7694. That's 800-221-7694.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Chance Scotch with your first alert forecast. Temperatures going to continue to climb towards the upper 30s today, partly cloudy skies. Eventually, as we head towards the late afternoon and early evening hours, we could see a little bit of a wintry mix across the area. Overnight lows cool back down towards mid-teens across much of the area, then partly cloudy and dry as we head off throughout the rest of the week into the upcoming weekend. Temperatures into Thursday cooler, only looking at afternoon highs into the lower 20s across the region. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Scotch.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Looking for treasures from the past? Discover Mimi's Antiques Attic, your locally owned and family-operated treasure hunt destination. Explore 16,000 square feet of antiques, crafts, collectibles, and designer items across 225 unique rental spaces. Open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 7, and Sundays, 10 to 6 at 1000 Warrenton Shops in Warrenton. Mimi's Antiques Attic, where every visit uncovers new treasures.
Do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Are you being audited or investigated? Has the IRS sent you a letter demanding payment? You may not owe what they claim. Make this free call to the tax doctor now. Let them negotiate with the IRS on your behalf.
800-240-4586. 800-240-4586. That's 800-240-4586.
When it's important to you,
what St. Louis is talking about.
It's on News Talk STL.
Since those bounties were put out, we've had to take different measures to keep our agents safe.
Alone come in, raise a firearm, and ambush these members of the National Guard.
Shot less than a mile from the White House.
News, analysis, opinion.
Another Afghan national posted a video indicating he was building a bomb with Fort Worth as his target.
Violence of this nature has no place.
101.9 and 94.1.
My talk station.
News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
I'm a stud. I'm ballsy. I don't take no from anyone.
Susie Moore.
I disagree on his assessment of the situation.
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice. Drain the swamp and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin.
All right, just when we think the work to get rid of critical race theory is just about done, looks like they may be changing the names and changing the tactics, basically taking the back roads.
Pretty sneaky, sis.
At least that's what some of the reporting is out there. So what do we need to know? And the big question is, does that mean we have more work to do still? Thinking we've made more progress than we've actually made. Maybe not. We're now joined by Sarah Holliday from the Washington Stand. And Sarah, appreciate you being on the program. I was reading your article on this yesterday, and I got to tell you, I do this for a living. And even I was saying, wait a minute, I thought we had eradicated this here in the red states in this area. But it looks like there is a pushback, but it's not a direct, we think you're wrong, we're going to push back and win. It's changing names, changing titles, looking at different ways to get kind of the same concept back into schools. What's kind of that foundational understanding we need of where we are with the debate over things like critical race theory?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. Well, and honestly, you hit the nail on the head. That's exactly what is happening. We're seeing a similar issue, which right now we have critical race theory as a concern, right? GOP states have been actively fighting this agenda, trying to get it out of their schools. And this is where we have Media Literacy Now. That is a nonprofit that was flagged by the Conservative Foundation for Freedom Online. They released a report, which is what I covered in my article. And in that report, they found that this organization, MLN, has some pretty deep roots in both the federal government, and it has paid advocacy in 23 states, many of which are Republican leaning, like Arizona, Indiana, Texas, Tennessee, to name a few. And so the reason why this is a concern is because Media Literacy Now, MLM, is claiming that their mission is simple. They want to essentially teach children, students within grades K through 12, how to navigate the media. MLN will claim that it founded because its founder was concerned about cartoons that its children were watching. But really, at the end of the day, they're trying to train children what outlets, news outlets, they can trust, which ones are they claim to be unreliable. And, you know, that doesn't necessarily seem like a bad thing, because it is tricky sometimes to navigate the media. And we all know that some outlets lean more left or more right. But when you look at the details, you see that they're almost consistently flagging conservative outlets as unreliable, while claiming that more progressive or left-leaning outlets are reliable. And their affiliates are also extremely telling. They have the founder and CEO of Adfontes on their board, which is pretty well known for their media bias charts. And on some of their charts, they'll claim that outlets like Fox News or the New York Post are hyper-partisan and unreliable. They've also flagged 64% of left-leaning outlets as reliable, but only saying the same of 32% of conservative outlets. And MLN is also platforming people who are openly promoting things such as critical race theory. They have a researcher based in Pennsylvania. His name is R. Allen Berry. And he wrote a chapter that was published as part of an academic text that pretty explicitly makes this case for how, in order to fight for media literacy, we have to fight for critical race theory to be taught in schools. And for your listeners who may not know, critical race theory is just, it champions itself as anti-racism, as, you know, rooting out systemic racism through an academic framework, but really it's just promoting racism. And there are plenty of conservatives, Christians, etc., who are concerned about that, don't support that don't want their kids to be taught that. And yet it's being pushed in schools. MLN actively promotes people who are wanting to see CRT in schools. And I think the most concerning part is that MLN doesn't just have a goal of doing this. It's already connected in, like I said, at least 23 states. But if you go back to the Biden administration, you'll see that it's also significantly funded through federal agencies and uplifted through federal agencies. For example, during the Biden administration, the State Department granted them $30,000 in a grant that was sent ultimately overseas to Germany to promote these exact same objectives. But even domestically, there's at least, if this is even the full number, at least 14 federal government agencies that have been a part of, for example, Biden's Information Literacy Task Force, which promotes a lot of what MLN has been putting out. So it's definitely not something that is just, you know, oh, it's a thing. They have this dream of helping children learn how to navigate the media. No, they want to essentially push their ideological ideas as they teach children what they consider to be reliable outlets or not. And it already has some pretty deep roots in the federal government and in several schools. So it's pretty concerning.
Sarah, it is concerning, and you've described, you know, really it kind of has some far-reaching. The tentacles are far-reaching. Do we know who or what entities are behind this group?
Yes, we do know of some, and I will list the one that's probably most concerning, which is the Southern Poverty Law Center, the SPLC. They actually pen a lot of their curricula that go out to these students. And the reason why the SPLC being a huge part of MLN's curricula is so concerning is because the SPLC itself is significantly far left, radical. Anybody that they deem conservative Christian that opposes their views is not just wrong from their eyes, but maybe even evil or hateful. For example, the SPLC puts out these things called hate maps. And, you know, I'd like to just brush it off as something that they do that doesn't affect anybody. But unfortunately, it directly affects a lot of people, including the organization I work for. Family Research Council was put on one of these hate maps in 2010, primarily because we favor and promote the traditional biblical views of marriage, for example. And the SPLC considers that hateful. So we're put on this map. And 2 years later, in 2012, a person came across that map, saw us on it and other organizations, and decided that that was not okay. He created a plan. He came to our organization, but had a couple different organizations on his list for that day, armed with a gun and with a plan to irreversibly harm as many people at our organization as possible that day. All because he saw us on this hate map. And thankfully, he was stopped. He's in prison. But it just goes to show how the SPLC is actively putting this idea into people's minds that there are groups out there that they disagree with. But that's not okay to just say that you disagree with them. They're putting out information that is actively vilifying people that don't have the same worldview as them, such as Family Research Council, the Alliance Defending Freedom, even Moms for Liberty. I mean, just moms who are concerned about their children and them not being indoctrinated are now officially an enemy and a hate group because they differ from the SPLC. And this group is supported by MLN. It is affiliated. It works directly alongside MLN. And so I'd like to say that media literacy training can be neutral. And I think maybe it can be somewhat more neutral. As researchers have expressed, media literacy in and of itself is not evil. But when it's utilized as a political weapon to promote an ideological push, whether it's from the federal government or from this nonprofit exclusively, then it is a problem because it's going directly into schools. And yes, children are going to be exposed to different worldviews in schools no matter what. There's not really anything we can do about that. But we don't have to be putting thousands, if not millions, of taxpayer dollars towards a nonprofit that doesn't even hide its ideological bias that does not represent a majority of this country.
We are visiting with Sarah Holliday. The article at the Washington Stand is Report Warns Critical Race Theory Could Be Worming Its Way Back into Classrooms. And I'm going to shortchange on time on this one because we just got a minute or so left. Sarah, how successful has this sort of clandestine effort been to get this this sort of push into the classrooms? Because a lot of people would say, oh, I know that happens over there, but that wouldn't happen in my area school. How successful are they in getting this end run around the efforts, like in Missouri, to get rid of critical race theory?
Yeah, I would say for MLN specifically, the very nature that it has paid advocacy and it's in legislation within, a range of 20 plus states, and many of them being Republican led, is demonstrating how they definitely have at least somewhat of a foothold. I mean, they have influence in Germany that is backed by a federal grant. So they've definitely made some strides. And I think another concerning aspect is that there are people within government, GOP leaders who have expressed how they were not aware that MLN was pushing this when they, let's say, passed legislation that promotes MLN's campaign. So they have definitely made a foothold, but I think that the fact that it's being exposed is encouraging. All we got to do is just pay attention, keep our head on a swivel, and really read the fine line. Policymakers, do what you need to do to read that text. I'm not a politician, but you guys need to make sure that you're really looking through every little detail and asking deep questions. Policymakers can do that. They can warn educators. They can warn parents. Parents can get involved in their schools to ask questions and to confront what they might suspect to be this creeping into their own classrooms. Everybody's going to say, no, that's not going to happen to me. It's not going to affect me. But the sad part is that it could worm its way into any area if we're not diligent and discerning.
All right. Once again, the links to all of the receipts are in the article itself. We connect with you in the Washington Stand. How, Sarah?
Thank you so much. And you can contact us through frc.org or washingtonstand.com.
All right, great. Thanks, Sarah. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
A Missouri lawmaker wants to make it clear you cannot marry AI.
What?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's actually a little more complicated than that. We're going to explain coming up at 7:20. Hey, I don't know if you're already thinking about what you're going to be doing for lunch today. I kind of am, to be honest. But if you are, I have a really good suggestion for you. It's great fun. It's great food. It's located in the heart of West County for over 20 years. It's Harpo's Chesterfield. They're a great neighborhood bar. They're close. They're convenient. It's got a great sports bar atmosphere. And as I mentioned, they've got great food. As you guys probably know, I'm a little partial to the burgers. Kind of craving one right now, but they've got a full menu and they've got daily food and drink specials. You can always go check them out on their website. It's harposstl.com, or you can check them out on Facebook and Instagram. For instance, on Saturday when we had that big snowstorm, if you were wondering, hey, is Harpo's even open? They were. And they let you know, hey, we're here for you, even in the snowstorm. They are your go-to, and they should be your go-to. You can check out, as I said, their Facebook or their Instagram page. If you go, you're going to find they have a friendly, energetic staff. They deliver fun food and drinks like nobody else. And you shouldn't forget about their events. That's the best place to keep up with them is on their Facebook and their Instagram page, or check them out at harposstl.com.
Columbo and Company.
Jasmine Crockett somehow continues to make her Epstein comments from weeks ago worse for herself. We'll explain the latest Wednesday. Plus, Rodney Boyd, Danny Define, and we'll open Close's cabinet.
Live and local weekdays at 2 on NewsTalkSTL.
Hello, Kirk Hilsinger, chairman of the Republican Party for the city of St. Louis. We complain about dark, out-of-state money being used to influence Missouri politics, and we actively have that going on right now. Out-of-state interests from as far as Ohio and Michigan are collecting signatures to bypass what your state legislators have done this summer. We request you decline to sign these petitions. For more information, see us at stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC, Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't, and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you're ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with this free call. 800-524-1641. 800-524-1641. 800-524-1641. That's 800-524-1641.
News, analysis, opinion.
You know, they're literally taking the Constitution and putting it in a paper shredder.
News Talk STL.
Hey everyone, this is State Senator Nick Schroer. I am the host of Stand and Fight every Sunday night. Right now, let's hear more of Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show here on News Talk STL.
You know, this is Wolfgang Van Halen.
I did not know that.
Eddie Van Halen's son.
But I like it.
Yeah, and his band Mammoth. They were actually just in Chesterfield's factory last week.
I did see that.
I wanted to go to that so bad. I was just so tired because there were actually very few tickets left, but there were a few tickets left. I'm like, you know what? I could go sit literally in the back row of the factory. But man, I kind of regret not going, even though I was pretty tired. That'd be a great show.
That would have been a fantastic show.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So as Susie said a minute ago, no, you cannot marry your AI girlfriend. Well, at least that's the proposal.
ruining my prospects.
I
here.
know. I'm just
no
saying.
pun intended.
Okay.
That's the proposal.
That's the proposal. Okay. So it's actually a little more interesting and nuanced than that, which we'll get to in just a minute. But now that we are in between election days, having had one, Susie, what are the top go-to articles we should check out on Red State?
This is the Red State Rundown.
Okay, number one, you really want to check this out. I don't know if you got to see much of the cabinet meeting yesterday, but they each spoke, and Secretary Rollins, she was front and center. She dropped the hammer. She said there's no funding for states who refuse to share SNAP data. This is the Trump administration's effort to kind of cut down on waste, fraud, and abuse. And guess what? The blue states don't want to share their information. So she's saying, fine, no share, no money.
I wonder why they would be hesitant.
That one's at the top of the page right now, Red State. Go check that one out. Also by Jennifer Oliver O'Connell, who wrote that one. This one is kind of cool. Smarter than a college freshman, University of Alabama student redraws Senate maps, gets federal approval. This 18-year-old kid drew up potential maps because Alabama has to rework theirs.
We're talking state Senate.
Yeah. Oh, no.
U.S. Senate?
U.S. Senate. No. Yes.
State Senate.
State Senate.
Yeah.
U.S. Senate maps don't matter.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry about that. But sent them into the district court, and the district court said, you know what? This is actually a good solution. So they're being considered. Kid's 18 years old.
Interesting.
And yeah, so that's an
and
interesting
I'm not
read.
even going to make an Alabama joke.
Well, go check it out if you want to know more about it, how that actually came to be. And then this last story here is really kind of scary. Very close call. Delaware University student found with machine gun plans for major terror attack. This guy had this whole thing all mapped out. This 25-year-old Delaware student. Not good.
Man. All right. Redstate.com. All right. A Missouri lawmaker proposes basically what we're talking about are foundational regulations on AI. But it's a little, because you see the headline and you can get really snarky with it. No, you can't marry your AI girlfriend or boyfriend. And sure, there are some jokes to be had, but it actually, once I started digging into the article, it really was kind of one of those, because you start off by saying, gee, is it a problem? Is there a big problem? Are there a lot of dudes out there trying to marry their AI chat box
or gals,
right? Or non-binary chat, whatever you do now. And there probably are a few freaks out there, but just a few incels out there. But the bottom line is that's not really what this is all about.
Okay, well, what's it about?
Yeah, it's about the role of technology and the role of humanity. And this is interesting. So KMOV's Hannah Falcon interviewed Representative Phil Amato, who filed the bill. And here's part of the story from KMOV, which you can find on KMOV's social media right now.
We don't want to stifle creativity, but at the same time, we know that AI needs some guardrails on it.
St. Louis Representative Phil Amato is crafting a bill that would define what AI is by telling us what it is not.
It cannot get married. It cannot be on the board of directors. It can't be your boss.
The bill reads, no AI system shall be granted the status of a person. And it was crafted with the help of an AI researcher and developer with the intention of laying the foundation as AI continues to evolve. Amato's bill would hold the people who developed the chatbots responsible for any potential harm.
You can't just abdicate responsibility and just say, well, this was done by AI. Some human being has to be responsible for pushing that button in the first place.
Yeah, because there are now sites where people are going to AI programs in order to get human interaction and advice and guidance. Now,
except for it's not human.
Exactly. For instance, I mean, I've already read a couple of stories where some churches have used an AI generated sermon. Okay. Now there should be nothing illegal about that. It's dumb. I would never go back to a church, but people are leaning on these sorts of things. And so when Representative Amato, and I actually don't know him, I've never met him. But when he talked about, you can't have a human status, you can't be on a board of directors, you can't be, and that sort of thing, that I thought was the sort of, that's what you mean by that. That's why I say there's nuance.
No, it is. It's preemptive. And I actually kind of like this because we've seen over the years, on occasion, some sort of special group suing to accord person status, personhood to any animal.
Yeah.
An elephant or a tree. Yeah, even trees. We've seen that. Now, I mean, those are kind of like fluke type situations. But when you talk about AI and what it's used for and its exponential growth and influence in our just everyday communications, that sort of thing, you could see very quickly how this could develop into a situation where someone's pushing, well, this chatbot, this whatever AI entity is actually serving this role, so it has to be given these rights. Being preemptive, being forward looking on that, I think is not a bad idea.
Well, there was a part of that I clipped out just for the sake of time. And they were talking to basically a child psychologist who was talking about you should never have an AI program that people go to for something like counseling or to therapy or for that sort of thing in a field that normally you would have to demonstrate an education and clinicals and a license for. So that's part of what they're getting out ahead of.
Well, but I've seen some people say that there should be nothing wrong with AI lawyers.
Wow.
I mean,
wasn't there an experiment where somebody created like an AI chat box and it passed the bar?
There might have been.
Yeah.
There might have been.
It completed law school.
There was a situation where a guy was arguing his case before a New York appellate court, and he basically had an AI lawyer.
Wow.
Until once the court was like, what is going on here? And they put it together. But, kind of people always talk about, because lawyers get such a bad rap, rightly so. But people talk about like, okay, why not have an AI lawyer? It wouldn't charge you as much.
There is a actual study that was done where they replaced nurses and doctors with AI. They found that not only was the AI more accurate at diagnosing and treating some of the stuff,
yes,
but people reported feeling that it actually was more compassionate when they were explaining their symptoms than an actual doctor is.
Yeah, which is mind blowing on that. But by the way, what the most accurate was on that, because AI was more accurate than the actual people, human doctors using AI was the most accurate out of all of those categories.
So it's definitely got its uses, but when you're talking about that, where do you draw the line? I don't know.
And I'm in agreement with our old friend Gabe that we should be limiting AI's encroachment on human society. They need to know their lane, stay in the box. But at the same time, having interacted with quite a few people, it's sometimes AI is a little bit more humane and a little bit more human than, so at that point, if it can mirror or mimic or be convinced in some way that it does have some sort of emotions, what would be the issue with granting it personhood when there are people walking around that can't even, no internal monologue, right?
Yeah, obviously I have no emotions. I am completely stone-hearted. I have not. No, but I'm saying is that people believe that, but that doesn't make it true. And I think what's interesting is what Representative Amato was arguing, saying is that when decisions are made, when things affect other people, we have to make sure somebody is held accountable.
Well, that's true.
For instance, like you mentioned, the lawyers, a lawyer who does not use AI to assist in research and stuff, they're nuts if they don't. I use AI to prepare for this show.
To research, yes. To write and to give you case sites?
Yeah.
Oh, don't you dare.
Yeah, or at least give us a head start on it to say, okay, well, that's what it says. Let me look it up. Something, but but a lot of people just want to do the lazy part.
I fight this battle every day.
I imagine so.
Listen, folks.
My wife is a university professor. The AI has been both the greatest thing that's ever happened and a nightmare.
Yep.
At the same time. So the bottom line, and I think, because I saw the story and I thought, well, this is going to be the silly, goofy thing. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute, though. This is actually serious because it's separating out. We have to protect, isolate, and elevate humanity over the technology.
And coming up, the Supreme Court hears a case involving a pregnancy resource center that's defending itself from the government. We'll fill you in on what is at stake here at 7:35, right after Larry Connor's commentary.
Mike Ferguson.
This man is crazy.
Susie Moore.
The best is yet to come.
On NewsTalkSTL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Chance Scotch with your first alert forecast. Temperatures going to continue to climb towards the upper 30s today. Partly cloudy skies. Eventually, as we head towards the late afternoon and early evening hours, we could see a little bit of a wintry mix across the area. Overnight lows cool back down towards mid-teens across much of the area, then partly cloudy and dry as we head off throughout the rest of the week into the upcoming weekend. Temperatures into Thursday cooler, only looking at afternoon highs into the lower 20s across the region. The First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist James Koch.
PRI Global now has Prismatic, an AI-driven platform that can help you and your business, especially in construction. Simplify your operations, secure data, modernize your business from the cloud up. Visit PRIGlobal.com. Innovation with talent and technology. People, process, platform. PRI Global delivers all three. Check them out. PRIGlobal.com. PRIGlobal.com.
Larry Connor's Commentary, brought to you by Vincent's Jewelers, offering a wide selection of jewelry, including lab-grown diamonds, affordable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and rings, up to 75% off their natural counterparts. Visit VincentsJewelers.com. This is Larry Connor's Commentary on News Talk STL.
Today's commentary is for those who refuse to say Merry Christmas, and for those who don't want you to say Merry Christmas. Consider moving to Portland, Oregon. At that city's 41st annual Christmas celebration, strike that, I can't say that. The city's 41st holiday celebration, numerous speakers had remarks before the 10,000 lights were turned on to highlight they decided they couldn't use the word Christmas, so they just referred to it as the tree. And to make sure the audience understood, there was no nativity scene. There was a Santa Claus. There was a woman draped in a Palestinian flag, but no one said Christmas. This was a real-life parody of the 1997 Seinfeld episode where George's father creates the Festivus pole, a simple metal pole serving as a holiday reminder. Well, like in Seinfeld, in Portland, no one had the courage to say Christmas tree. So now the tree is in place, brightly lit, but just recognize, just like the Festivus pole, that's all it is, a tree, a 75-foot tree, signifying nothing. Bah humbug.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Cooking a pizza using coal, that's creating an amazing pizza. Only one place to get it, Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in the district at Chesterfield. Try it. You can thank me later. Also, don't forget that Lit Cigar Lounge is just a few doors away. Top-of-the-line cigars and whiskeys. TVs in every direction. Watch your sports while enjoying your drink and smoke. LitSTL.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Johnny Tobacco, he's host of Wise Guys on Newsmax. The polls are saying that Kami Mandami is going to be the next mayor of New York.
Well, you know, Chris, I don't know what they say out in St. Louis about polls, but here in New York, we say polls are good in two places, strip clubs and firehouse. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Columbo here for my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton. The knowledgeable staff at Bluff City has served the St. Louis outdoor community for decades, and they can take care of all your bow hunting needs, all your trapping needs, all your fishing needs, and more. Plus, while you're there, you can schedule a trip with a local fishing guide and shoot in their archery range. Bluff City Outdoors is open 7 days a week, 1 mile east of Fast Eddie's at 2813 East Broadway in Alton. Follow them on Facebook and at BluffCityOutdoors.com.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
I listen to News Talk STL on the app driving to work.
Download the News Talk STL app.
You got to get the News Talk STL app.
Love the app. Can listen anywhere in St. Louis.
And listen anytime.
News Talk STL right on my phone.
Anywhere.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL.
Okay, well, anytime the Supreme Court takes up a case for their term, it's a big deal. Mm-hmm. They only take things that are big deal. They're not looking at just that case. They're looking at the precedent and interpretations of the law, and they're looking at things that would lend itself to the bigger picture. I think that's fair to say, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what's really at stake in one state's effort against a pregnancy resource center? That case was heard on Tuesday. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so Maggie Little, who was the DC correspondent for our friends at The Lion and the Herzog Foundation, joins us right now. Okay, let's lay the foundation of what's happening here, Maggie. Supreme Court hears a case involving what many would argue is New Jersey's lawfare, so to speak, against a pregnancy resource center. What is it that the state of New Jersey has such a beef with this pregnancy resource center? Then we'll get to the bigger picture at hand.
Of course. Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. The big issue here is there's a pregnancy resource center called First Choice, operates a few clinics in the state of New Jersey, offering free ultrasounds, pregnancy testing for women to come in and kind of learn about their pregnancy and see some other options than just getting an abortion. And the state's attorney general has sought to compel through subpoena all sorts of private donor information, even though he hasn't been able to identify a single complaint against the centers. He's seeking donor names, addresses, phone numbers, and their places of employment. And so the pregnancy center is arguing that this could have a chilling effect on both the group itself and on their donors, because donating to these kind of pro-life pregnancy centers is not always the most popular political position to take. So you can see how a donor might feel hesitant to donate again if they know the state's attorney general has all this information about them.
Maggie, looking at some of the reporting on the argument that was held yesterday in front of the Supreme Court, it sounds to me like not only were the conservative justices, particularly Justice Thomas, for instance, sort of skeptical of the state of New Jersey's position on this, but it sounds like even Elena Kagan may have been somewhat skeptical. I know we can never really truly read how the court's going to rule just based on the oral argument, but reading the tea leaves here, if you will, it seems pretty favorable in terms of the outcome for the pregnancy center, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think across the board, the arguments were kind of taken as the justices appearing poised to side in favor of the pregnancy center. You mentioned Justice Kagan, who does lean more liberal. Even she disagreed with some of the claims that the attorney general was making. He had said in his briefs that the subpoena was just simply a request for donor information. And she said, ordinary people or donors aren't going to see a subpoena as just a mere request. Justice Clarence Thomas agreed that he'd never heard of a subpoena request. I mean, this in Latin literally translates to under penalty. So that's not how donors are going to exactly see this. So there seemed to be a lot of skepticism from the justices on some of these claims.
Yeah, and while this is a New Jersey case, we're visiting with Maggie Little from readlion.com, The Lion. And so let me say, okay, well, this is a New Jersey case, those scoundrels there, but this has potentially a national picture. What is it that that the government in this case wanted to do with that information? Because I didn't listen to the whole thing, but I listened to the part where Justice Thomas kept drilling down, saying, who complained? Why did you start an investigation? What are you looking for? What are you wanting to do with this? And they finally had to admit, well, there weren't any complaints. We just decided we wanted to look into it, and we've got the right to do that. And that's part of what's at stake right here. So what is it that the government was looking to do with whatever information they would get if they win?
Yeah, that's exactly right. To my understanding, they have not identified a single complaint that's led them to try to seek this information. When I interviewed Erin Hawley, who was one of the attorneys representing the pregnancy center in the Supreme Court yesterday, she told me that, the AG is seeking information behind nearly 5,000 donations and up to 10 years of this center's internal documents. They think it's because, the AG has previously expressed a lot of opposition to the more pro-life Christian mission of these pregnancy centers. Like you said, these have been targeted kind of across the country by blue states who oppose its mission. And I think what's really interesting is that even though this is a pro-life Christian center, it's actually brought both sides together, groups from both the left and the right. The ACLU, for instance, which is very supportive of abortion, they're even filing a brief in support of this Christian pregnancy center, because they also recognize the danger of allowing state officials to target ideological opponents. And they're saying, federal courts must be a venue where people can continue to vindicate their First Amendment rights. So it's kind of bringing both sides of the aisle together, even though it's a very hot topic like abortion.
Yeah, Maggie, obviously for the First Amendment is implicated here. Are there other constitutional provisions or just statutory provisions that are implicated in this from a legal standpoint, and that will have a broader impact, and not just in relation to, the New Jersey investigation into the crisis pregnancy center?
Yeah, one big issue when I was interviewing Erin Hawley again, she talked about the Supreme Court precedent known as Americans for Prosperity case, which the court has said there's an associational right in keeping donor information private, and they've said this interest includes, the right to associate privately, and people don't want to release their donor information, especially if sometimes those donors are donating to a politically unpopular cause. So I think this does have ripple effects. And I think with the actual more narrow legal question here, it's not just about abortion, but it's about whether these type of pregnancy centers, if they have to litigate through the state courts or if they can go to the federal court. And so if the justices say that they can take these claims to the federal court, I think a lot of groups on both the left and the right prefer to litigate constitutional claims in federal court because they see those judges as a little bit more friendly to constitutional issues and more protective and concerned about free speech issues.
Okay, so Maggie, regardless of which way the ruling is going to come, and that'll be sometime in the summer that we'll get the answer on that. What does that potentially mean across the country? Like, for instance, there's a pregnancy resource center here in St. Louis we work very closely with and support called Reach Reproductive Health. I'm sure they're watching this just to see what kind of precedent is out there. But what kind of effect could this have one way or the other around the country?
I think if the court rules that that pregnancy resource centers and similar groups like this can bring these claims first to federal court, that will be reassuring to these centers because, again, like these groups typically want to litigate constitutional issues in a federal court. These centers are operating all across the country, oftentimes providing a pretty valuable alternative to women who want to learn a little bit more about their pregnancy and their options. It provides free ultrasounds or free pregnancy testing and other resources. And so I think there's likely hundreds of these centers across the country watching this case and seeing what are our options if we also get similarly targeted as this one in New Jersey has.
Was there any argument being made by the state of New Jersey regarding, because I saw some references to, well, they might be misleading patients. And that's one of the things that leftist politicians, they go after pregnancy resource centers. And I think you nailed it on the head because they don't want places like Planned Parenthood to have that much competition. They're just very, very pro-abortion itself, not pro-choice, but pro-abortion. But were there any other arguments? Well, we have a right to look into this because we just think there might be something we want to shut down. I mean, were there any practices of the pregnancy resource center that were under the gun by New Jersey?
My understanding was, that the Attorney General was just insisting that the pregnancy center was refusing to answer questions about their operations. He was concerned that they were misleading patients because some of the information on their site that faces patients is a little bit different than the information and bullet points that they put on their site trying to attract donors. When I've reached out to him as well, he's just repeatedly said, accused first choice pregnancy centers of just refusing to answer questions about their operations.
Well, and there's not much in somebody's life that is more private or delicate or intimate than what pregnancy resource centers work with. So, I mean, just to point that out there. All right. Maggie Little from the readlion.com, the Washington, D.C. correspondent. Maggie, we want to follow the work that you do or your colleagues. I'm one of those who reads the Lion pretty much every single day looking for stuff to talk about because you all do a good job. What's the way to be in touch or in contact or if people have any questions?
I think just head over to our website, readlion.com. We're covering cases across the country and in DC as well. So there's always new fresh stories coming up daily.
All right. Thanks, Maggie.
Thanks, Maggie.
Thank you.
This issue was front and center during the shutdown and all the litigation and arguing back and forth over SNAP benefits really had everybody focusing in on the need for organizations like Feed My People that help with these food drives. Well, I don't want you guys to think that it's no longer an issue. It is. It's the holiday season. We need your help. NewsTalk STL has teamed up with St. Louis County GOP for our food drive to help Feed My People. And it's very, very easy for you to do that. All you have to do is go to one of the bins. We've got one here at the station. We've got them all over the St. Louis area at Michael's, at Bartolino's, at Chris's Pancake House. all kinds of places where you can go to drop off your non-perishable items. Do that to help a very worthy cause.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
The strong protecting the weak and the good defeating evil.
On NewsTalk STL.
This December 13th, join wreaths across America at Belle Reve Gardens Cemetery as we remember the fallen, honor those who serve, and teach our children the value of freedom. Help us lay remembrance wreaths on the graves of our fallen heroes. Sponsor a wreath, volunteer, or bring your family to this meaningful tribute to our veterans, because every hero deserves to be remembered. Learn more and sponsor a wreath. Visit NewsTalkSTL.com.
NewsTalk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 2 times every weekend on NewsTalk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. You could also reach Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
Streaming TV is where it's at. It's not about cutting the cord anymore. That's old news. It's all about your customized TV options. With the best and cheapest high-speed internet and your own TV subscriptions, we've got your dream TV lineup. Between wired and satellite internet and TV, you now have tons of options. Save money and get more internet speed and better TV today by calling the Whole Home Connect. We scan your location and offer you the best TV and internet options. And we always have specials and promotions. So when you call, ask about that. Take 5 minutes of your time. Make this free call now and learn how to save money and get better internet and TV for your home anywhere in the U.S. Make this simple and free call now.
800-257-1632. 800-257-1632. 800-257-1632. That's 800-257-1632.
Hey, this is Todd Showalter. Join me on Saturday at 5 as I try to put some fun back into this dysfunctional radio station. It's The Right Mind Show with me, Todd Showalter, at 5 on Saturday. And, speaking of dysfunctional, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Tonight on the Hallmark Channel, it's Christmas in an Uber. He's a gorgeous former goat herder from a country no one can pronounce, who drives an Uber with his sickly pet goat Cecil riding shotgun. She's a gorgeous veterinary student with flowing blonde hair who needs an animal to practice on before Christmas break.
Are you Adriella? I'm your ride. Don't worry, he no bite.
Will a slightly smelly animal in the car give him a 1-star review? Or will the goat become the goat?
He say very foxy.
It's Christmas in an Uber tonight on the Hallmark Channel. I can't wait.
And for those of you that are not watching the stream,
you and my mom.
If you needed a reason to join us on our streams, you could see Susie's whimsical reaction in real time.
I love my Hallmark movie.
Oh, man. Anyway. All right. Okay. So it's that time of year where everybody's doing like the reflections of the year sort of thing.
Yeah.
I saw a thing. Wow, boy, what was it? That I guess YouTube is going to get into here's what you were looking at all year. You're going to start. That's going to show up in your year in review. Which means
bad.
I was going to say whatever rabbit hole you went down, YouTube is going to, I guess, kind of put something because Facebook did that a few years ago where they're like, hey, here's your year in review, and they took some of your most popular pictures on that. But I am
going to traumatize so many YouTube moderators.
I imagine so. Okay, so the Oxford Dictionary, they always do a word of the year or phrase of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, Oxford Dictionary's word of the year.
Skibbity.
No, that wasn't that last year?
It was. Yeah, that was.
I
think
don't
last
know.
year.
The last few times we've talked about new words in the dictionary, that was one of the ones. And
yeah, which I still don't know what that means.
It just means skibbity.
I think it just stands alone.
Got it. Okay. But the word of the year, according to the Oxford Dictionary, is rage bait.
Oh,
rage bait.
Word of the year.
Word of the year.
I mean, I've heard it. I think it has a use. I think it's a useful term.
Yeah, I actually think it's accurate.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I don't
That's
know.
the word of the year.
Word of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see it because on two fronts, there are the people that are like these social media. They make their money by getting paid by social media.
By clicks.
Grifter.
Yep. Tell us how you really feel.
Did I say that out loud?
This Hallmark movie is going to be a rage baiter who finds out that the errors of his ways when he gets cold. Anyways, no, so I can understand that because that is an actual tactic that you would use to get engagement so you can make your money off social media. But then the other side is when people want to dismiss you because you made them mad, even though you were factually correct, they're going to call you a rage baiter. Even though it's so it is a very popular word, but the word of the year that's interesting.
That surprises me.
They define it as online content deliberately designed to elicit anger or outrage by being frustrating, provocative, or offensive, which I think is an accurate term.
Yeah.
Accurate definition.
Absolutely. And we see it all over every single day.
What are the types of videos? Like, let's say your reels or your whatever they're called on this. I'm not on Instagram, but whatever they're called there, whatever the videos, TikToks, whatever. What are the types of videos that you know is going to bait your rage? And either you fall for it or you're like, nope, I'd skip through it. Because there's a couple of types of videos. I'm like, rage bait. Nope, I skip them. Because I know that's what they're trying to do is piss me off.
I'm the wrong person to ask because I skip all of them and just go for the ones with the cute puppies. And that just makes me happy. No, like if I can tell by looking at something that it's going to raise my blood pressure, I just skip it.
That's what
I don't need
now.
it.
Yeah, that's what I do now too.
I don't need that.
Anytime I see a politician talking about any sort of spending, I can feel just that the vein in your neck start to go. And then when videos are taken out of context and people are doing their own reaction, so it's like to understand what the person in the video meant, it would take a couple minutes of watching the video, but they take a 30-second soundbite and then they're like, well, and here's why you should be outraged and freaked out. I'm not mad of the content. I'm mad that you are misrepresenting the content.
You know, that does remind me, though, right after Charlie Kirk was assassinated, there was a leftist influencer lady who apparently was pretty popular, that a couple of friends shared her video talking about it. And it's one of those where it caught my eye because of it being shared a few times. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to listen to what she has to say. It was like a 5-minute thing. And it was very like, it did make me furious because it was so misleading. And I did a whole article deconstructing it because I was that mad about it.
Yeah. I don't want to name anybody because I don't want people checking them out and giving them those views. But there are people that I've been exposed to through others that I know, and they are factually wrong. They don't do any level, but they present themselves as I am the integrity, the deep diver, and they build this whole, and it's like, you have such a large audience, and this is, you're either stupid or you're amoral. Now, going off the idea of rage baiting, your year in review for YouTube, Corporeal Being says that people were upset when Facebook did it because it showed them all their previous relationships and old times. So maybe this is YouTube trying to rage bait us.
A little salt in the
Maybe
wind.
that's it. But like, for instance, the types of videos that I go, nope, no way, because I would get caught in the rabbit hole are like the Karen videos. You know, the Karens who are just doing stupid, antagonistic, in your face, and somebody puts a camera up. Those just irritate me. Or the homeowners association president confronting you about your bush. That kind of stuff just drives me nuts. And there are so many also of basically the World Star things where it's just like, we're going to watch somebody just get the crap beat out of them. Those make me, I don't want to watch that. So I go, you look for the puppies. I look for the big cats.
Well,
I saw one this morning of somebody who they got to pet a cheetah, and I was really jealous.
Oh, no, I like any like cute animal videos, anything like that. But you know what? Like an almost immediate turn off for me, while I'm not going to watch, someone sitting in their car talking to the camera. What is with the car setting?
Yes.
You mean that you don't like it when somebody's filming themselves crying?
Yeah.
It doesn't even matter if they're crying. It could even be somebody who I agree with, but the car is the background setting. I am over.
No.
See,
that makes me mad.
Yeah. No,
rage bait.
But it's like the opposite.
Rage
repellent.
There you go.
See, and I would also add on, there's a genre, and I don't go to TikTok, but TikTok spreads everywhere like a disease. And I do see that there are people that they go to other countries as tourists, and then what they end up doing is that they will inconvenience all the locals, because it's like, so there's one video I saw, the guy is on an escalator, and where he's at, if somebody's in front of you and you want to go around him, it's customary to go around them, and he's holding his arms out, big dude holding his arms out so nobody can get around him. They're trying to push past him, and he's steadfast. And I'm like, that's what you went to that country to do.
Yeah.
You were going there and you're harassing the locals, and if they think you're an American, you're making all of us look bad.
Right. Now, I mean, those are all things that do make me mad, but if it makes me mad, I will generally avoid it because I don't need that in my life.
Yeah. And so what I get a lot of are baseball videos.
Yeah.
It would be no surprise to anybody. By the way, the runners up of the word of the year,
what else?
the other two, biohack.
Okay, I know what that means.
An attempt to improve or optimize your physical or mental health using things like drugs, supplements, or new technology.
Okay.
And then the other one was, and I've never heard of this, aura farming.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Aura farming.
Aura farming or aura farming is when you cultivate an impressive, attractive, or charismatic persona online to convey an air of confidence, coolness, or mystique.
Or just be yourself.
Unless you suck.
Exactly.
This holiday season, help Feed My People fill the shelves. News Talk STL and the STL County GOP are partnering for an annual food drive, November 10th through December 21st. Drop off your non-perishable food donations at all Bartolino's restaurants, all Chris's Pancakes and dining locations, and all 3 Michael's Flooring outlets, or at the News Talk STL studios.
Hey, it's Larry Connors, and together we can make a difference for families in need.
Visit NewsTalkSTL.com for complete drop-off locations.
Why leave your company's story to chance? In today's digital world, video content isn't just an option. It's essential for your success. At Blue Ocean Media Group, we've spent decades crafting compelling visual stories for businesses just like yours. From concept to completion, our award-winning team transforms your vision into powerful video content that connects with your audience and drives results. Don't trust your brand to amateurs. Partner with Blue Ocean Media Group. Visit blueoceanmediagroup.com today, and let's bring your story to life.
Is diabetes keeping you from enjoying life's special moments? At US Med, we understand the challenges you face, and we're here to help.
With US Med, I can finally manage my diabetes without it managing me.
US Med offers a wide range of services to simplify your diabetes care. Personalized care plans, convenient access to cutting-edge diabetes tech, and knowledgeable support. Plus, we'll check your insurance so your diabetes care may be covered at little or no cost to you.
With US Med, I feel confident and control of my diabetes. I can finally live my life to the fullest.
Don't let diabetes hold you back. Choose US Med and experience better birthdays, better adventures, better anniversaries, and better everything. Call now. US Med. Better service, better care. 800-515-2380. 800-515-2380. 800-515-2380. That's 800-515-2380.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. Amit Thomason. The voters of Tennessee's 7th Congressional District have spoken. In a special election, they've chosen their next congressional representative.
First and foremost, I want to thank God for his guidance and grace every step of the way.
Matt Van Epps will be heading to Washington.
The people of Middle Tennessee stand with President Donald J. Trump.
Republican Matt Van Epps addressing supporters after winning a special election in Tennessee, keeping the 7th Congressional District in the GOP column. A military veteran and former State General Services Commissioner from Nashville, Van Epps defeated Democratic State Representative Afton Bain.
Correspondent Ben Thomas says Van Epps did have President Trump's endorsement. A high-level advisor to Russian President Putin describes talks between Russia and the U.S. on ending the war in Ukraine as constructive, but No breakthrough.
Putin met late Tuesday in Moscow with U.S. President Donald Trump's envoy Steve Witkoff and son-in-law Jared Kushner. The Russian and American sides agreed not to disclose the substance of the talks, but Yuri Ushakov, a senior advisor to Putin, spoke briefly to reporters. Some of the wording that was proposed to us doesn't suit us, so the work will continue. The meeting was another step in a renewed U.S. push to broker a peace deal that has been out of reach since Trump's return to office in January. I'm Nayan Kim.
Secretary of War Hegseth is vowing to press ahead with strikes on suspected U.S.-bound drug-running boats in the Caribbean and the Atlantic. Hegseth says narco-terrorists deserve to be sent to the bottom of the ocean because they've been poisoning the American people. The second strike on one vessel has outraged Democrats. They've been tossing around the term war crime. Wall Street's head of this morning's opening bell. The Dow futures 89 points higher. NASDAQ futures are up 50 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
The following is not an actor, but a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
My debt problem started probably about 2016. I needed my life to change financially. I called Trinity and I ended up joining based on high credit card bills and high interest rate. And my counselor at Trinity has been great, and Trinity has been helping me to get on the right path of paying off these credit card bills, bringing down the interest rate. They have consolidated my bills into one low monthly payment. And now I am finally getting out of credit card debt. So I just want to say thank you, Trinity, for showing me a better and greater path.
If you're in debt and you need help, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Sharon, and soon I will be debt-free for keeps.
1-800-990-6976.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Chance Scotch with your first alert forecast. Temperatures going to continue to climb towards the upper 30s today, partly cloudy skies. Eventually, as we head towards the late afternoon, early evening hours, we could see a little bit of a wintry mix across the area. Overnight lows cool back down towards the mid-teens across much of the area, then partly cloudy and dry as we head off throughout the rest of the week into the upcoming weekend. Temperatures into Thursday cooler, only looking at afternoon highs into the lower 20s across the region. In the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Scotch.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Well, what is it?
Well, it's a radio. It was indeed a radio. The entire neighborhood was turned on. The news, analysis, and opinion poured over me like a warm glass of Ovaltine.
We triple dog dare you to have a Merry Christmas. From Gingham's Homestyle Restaurant, D. Gregorio's Food Products, RealtyNet Service Realtors, and News Talk STL.
What was that? My radio!
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go and pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. That's 800-515-2397.
Mike Ferguson.
I'm sick and tired of smart guys.
Susie Moore.
Get out of here and stop playing victim.
Get up, St. Louis.
We have federal regulations that prohibit hunting duck, and yet it's legal to hunt humans.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up. This is your cousin.
Okay, so the off-year elections are over for 2025. We have gone through that meat grinder.
We made it.
Do those results tell us anything about how the parties are approaching the 2026 midterms? Because there's the elections that happen and the rightful news coverage that happens of those elections. And then there's the let's sift out what is actual momentum nationally and what's actually just local elections. It is 8:05 right now. We are now joined by the one, the only, Mr. Chris Arps. You can hear every afternoon from 4 to 6 here on News Talk Says STL and see him on Newsmax pretty much regularly on there as well. So, Chris, let's start with the actual race in Tennessee. Matt Van Epps is elected. The Republicans basically defend and they reclaim a seat that's a red seat in the first place. I kind of thought it was nonsense that media was telling us it was a 1 or 2 point race, ended up being a 9-point race, which makes more sense. But what's the motivation for pollsters and media and politicians to constantly say, oh boy, Democrats could, that was my best Randy Savage right there. Oh yeah. They could, boy, the Democrats could really win this one. This is, showing that blue wave that's coming when reality just didn't back that up.
Mike, we know that the Democrats and the media are one and the same. And I think because of those victories in New Jersey and in New York and in Virginia, I think they were trying to continue that narrative that the Democrats have momentum and that there is a wave. And so they were really trying to juice up Ashton Bain for her to beat Matt Van Epps in this race. Look, he won by almost 10 points, 9 points. That's nothing to sneeze at in a special election in an off year right after Thanksgiving. So I think that blows out the narrative that the Republicans are hurting and that they're going to have a bad year next year. We don't know that. It's still a year away. But I think this kind of dispels that. A 10-point win in December after Thanksgiving in an off-year election is pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible the Republicans can have a bad year, but we're not going to have a feel for that, right away. I mean, there's all kinds of nonsense we got to get through before that. Republicans can have a very good year. We just don't know yet.
Mm-hmm. And, also in this race, I think that it could have been closer, but the Democrats just had a completely flawed candidate. I mean, they made them. I mean, this woman is supposed to be running in a district that has Nashville in it, and she says she hates country music. She hates Nashville. She talked about that she wanted to defund the police. I think her campaign also made a mistake when they brought in Kamala Harris and Jasmine Crockett and AOC to come campaign for her. Look, they are Democrats, and I know they wanted to try to juice up the turnout for the Democrats, but I don't think most Tennessee Democrats are supportive of those three, and I think that was a fundamental mistake for them. But if they would have had a more moderate candidate, I think this race could have been closer.
Okay, so yeah, let me follow that, because first of all, you're just demonstrating again why you're so much of a nicer guy than I am, because you said you've got a flawed candidate. Earlier today, I just said she cray-cray. Okay, she's nuts. But then, again, bringing in Jasmine Crockett and AOC kind of reinforces all that. So you would think that the Democrats in the Mid-South, I mean, literally in Tennessee, they would say maybe a Jasmine Crockett type isn't going to sell here. Why do they continue their primary voters? Why do their supporters, why do they continue to gravitate towards what John Kennedy calls the loon wing of the Democratic Party to represent them?
I think they thought that Republicans didn't have a lot of momentum. There wasn't a lot of enthusiasm. The enthusiasm this year seems to be on the Democrat side. Nashville is a heavily, heavily blue area. And I think they just felt that if they brought in those three, that they could juice up the turnout in Nashville. The Republican turnout would be down and they could sneak away with the win. Of course, that scenario did not happen. I think the Republicans made a mistake in this campaign. I think they should have brought President Trump in to campaign. They did a tele-rally with him over speakerphone. Mike Johnson, the speaker, was there. There were some other notable Republicans that campaigned for him. But I think they should have brought President Trump in. And I think that him winning that district by 22 points, I think Van Epps could have won by 15 points, could have added an extra 4 or 5 points to his total if President Trump would have came in and campaigned. And I think this shows an overall thing that the White House needs to get President Trump out of D.C., get him out into the heartland among the people, talk about the big, beautiful bill, talk about how you're going to lower prices soon before the midterm elections come. I think President Trump needs to get out of D.C., campaign among the people.
Okay, so now we've got the whole, what are the takeaways from the race? What does it all mean? And of course, the media pundits, the reporters, they want to say, well, here's what happened in New Jersey. Here's what happened in New York City. Here's what happened in Virginia. And now here's what happened in Tennessee. And they want to tell us what this all means. How connected are these, or are these simply state and local elections?
I think these are state and local elections. And I said, this was a special election in December after Thanksgiving. Turnout and people aren't really paying that close attention to politics. I don't think they're connected at all. Look, I think the Democrats do have some momentum. They do have more enthusiasm than Republicans have right now. Polls have shown that. I think it is a brilliant idea that President Trump has proposed having a national convention in August next year to try to juice up Republican turnout for these midterms. Because as we've seen, President Trump, when he's on the ballot, he brings up all the lower races. They do quite well, but Republicans don't do as well when he's not on the ballot. They're going to need his enthusiasm. And I think a national convention next year in Vegas, as it's been proposed, is a great idea.
Okay, so then what's the messaging? I mean, you talk about the momentum probably being on more the Democratic side. I think you're right. Part of that is off-year elections generally are tough for the party in power anyway. So then what do the Republicans need to do to preserve their majorities?
I think, one, they got to get President Trump out of D.C. He's got to be talking about the big, beautiful bill. Look, he is correct. Egg prices are down. Gas prices are down. Inflation is lower than it was under President Bush. But unfortunately, the people aren't feeling it right now. And I think he's got to get out among the people, talk about the big, beautiful bill, how it's going to lower prices. Congress has to talk about their plans for lowering prices. And I also think that with the deadline coming up with the affordable health credits expiring at the end of the year, they've got to put together some type of plan that is feasible and that could maybe get bipartisan support. I don't know how easy that's going to be. Our own Senator Josh Hawley has put out a plan, healthcare plan yesterday, allowing people to deduct $25,000 of their health expenses. I don't know how feasible that is for someone that's trying to make it, paycheck to paycheck. Can they pay $25,000 worth of expenses out of their pocket? But it's the first start, but they've got to start talking about healthcare, or there will be a bloodbath next year if these health premiums go up and there's no solution.
Yeah, because the premiums, I mean, basically we're subsidizing what are high premiums. So people don't see that that's the premiums. They just see this is what I'm paying. And the premiums, I mean, when those subsidies go away, that's the actual cost because of Obamacare. But that's not the feeling people get. They just know it costs me more money. They don't care that, well, I was taking money from everybody else before that. So, I mean, from an emotional and financial perspective, the better policy is to get rid of as much of Obamacare as possible. But the Democrats have a built-in emotional leverage point on this.
Yeah, and if you do get rid of Obamacare, you got to have some type of plan in place that's going to replace Obamacare. And unfortunately, Republicans don't have that. They've got a couple of weeks here to the end of the year to try to come up with a type of plan. I think that's pretty much going to be impossible to do that. I think there is consensus within the Congress among Republicans among some, the moderates, to extend the Obamacare tax credit, but they have to have reform. You have to have it where people that make $200,000 or $300,000 a year, they aren't eligible for these credits. And of course, the Hyde Amendment comes into play here. People don't want their tax dollars going to pay for abortion. So there's a middle ground here somewhere. Republicans have to find that before the end of the year or before the midterms, or 2026 elections are not going to be good for us.
Okay, so if the Republicans find a compromise and extend the Obamacare subsidies, how do they keep frustrated Republicans from staying at home next year?
Well, I think the thing that they have to do, they have to show that they're reforming that the tax credits are truly going to people that truly need them, that are poor, that are indigent, that this is the only way they can get health care. They're not going to pass this among Republicans if there's no fundamental changes in it, like people that make, pretty good money being able to get these tax credits. There's nothing in it about reforming, not having these tax dollars go to pay for abortion, and just root out some of the fraud that's involved in it. I think you can sell it if you use those three elements.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Devil's going to be in the details on that because, I mean, essentially it's still, well, we're going to tax these people to pay for these people. So it's still a socialist wealth transfer.
Yeah.
And
also, too, I want to say this. A lot of times when I make political views on things like this, they think that this is what I want to happen, or I believe this. Look, I want the Obamacare credits to go away. I don't support socialized medicine, but I'm looking at it pragmatically from the politics, that it's very hard to sell to voters if they see commercials from Democrats showing that poor people and some woman with 4 kids and working 3 jobs has their health insurance taken away. Right. That's just a hard hill to overcome.
Yep. All right, Chris, any planning for this afternoon show yet? Do we know who's coming on yet?
Yeah, we've got a special guest. We've got, remember Congressman Louis Gohmert from Texas?
Yeah.
He was involved with the, forgot what, Operation something, where his phone records were being tapped by the FBI.
Arctic Frost.
Arctic Frost.
Yep.
He's going to be on to talk about that. Plus, I like Congressman Gohmert because he used to represent Tyler, Texas. And that's where my dad was born and raised, and that's where I was born. So it'll be good to talk to him. And of course, on Wednesdays, we speak with Zach Smith. He's our Heritage Foundation legal expert. There are a lot of cases before the Supreme Court. And we're going to discuss some of those with him at 4:25.
All right. And that's Chris Arps along with Tim Jones this afternoon. Thanks so much, Chris. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Something cool's happening this Saturday, by the way. At my friends at Nutrition Stop, they have an indoor farmers market holiday edition that is happening.
Ooh.
This is going to be fun. So this coming Saturday, put this on your calendar from noon to 3, all kinds of food and drink samples, including the adult beverages. You can get your samples. You can basically go out there and sample enough food to have lunch out there for free. A lot of local vendors, they're doing raffles, a lot of gift ideas. So everything from, local, real, actual food. If your New Year's resolution is to make my own self healthy again, you can do that. So nutritionstop.com is where you're going to get more information. But this Saturday, December 6th, noon to 3, indoor farmers market. I'm going to be there for part of it. But check that out, nutritionstop.com.
Mike Ferguson in the morning
They were drinking water out of the toilet.
on NewsTalkSTL.
Dr. Randy Tolber here, and I know that when you're looking for a dentist, you have to make sure you choose a dental practice that's compatible with you and the needs of your family. Well, I'd like to tell you about my dentist, Dr. Dan Cusimano, and his partner, Megan Dwyer, and their team at Advanced Dentistry at St. Charles. The great team at Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles can accommodate all of your cosmetic and restorative needs because their passion is general dentistry. Implants, crowns, bridges, even dentures. That what you need the most is what they'll provide in a personalized, focused way. And they can provide therapeutic and cosmetic options like Botox and dermal fillers. Get to know them and all they have to offer by calling 636-978-0226 or visit them on the web at advanceddentistrynow.com. That's Dr. Daniel Cusimano and Dr. Megan Dwyer at Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles.
That's Advanced Dentistry Now, 636-978-0226. Or visit them on the web at advanceddentistrynow.com.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
NPR, guess what? Got the funding, and they're going to close down operations. If they're not going to get federal funding, well, then guess what? There are plenty of radio salespeople out there in the United States who can sell time, big time. You know why they don't sell hire sales teams? Because nobody will buy advertising because they suck so bad. Oh my God! You don't see people.
You're so correct. That's it right there.
Vic Porcelli, live and local, weekday mornings at 9
on NewsTalkSTL.
Hi, I'm Lieutenant Governor David Wassinger. As Christmas approaches, I want to encourage you to support Missouri businesses this holiday season. When you're out shopping for the perfect gift, please stop by a local store and choose something made right here in the Show Me State. Missouri businesses are the backbone of our communities, and supporting them is a priority for me. To find Missouri-made goods and retailers near you, please visit buymissouri.net. Merry Christmas, and please remember to buy Missouri.
Paid for by the Office of Lieutenant Governor David Wassinger.
This is 101.9 and 94.1.
I have to tell you, if this is how they're going to behave, I'm rethinking my position.
News Talk STL.
Hey, Chris Arps from the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. Make sure that you're listening to our show this afternoon from 4 to 6. Now back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show.
All right, we're about to hear a clip from the congressman-elect out of Texas, which is giving Republicans just a little bit more breathing room on their votes now once he gets sworn in, which could very well be literally today or tomorrow. St. Louis County's spending problem is worse than we thought, but Sam Page says he can fix it.
Really?
No. Well, he says that. But he can't. No. And a billionaire couple wants to help your kids invest.
Ooh.
This is interesting. All right. It is 8:21 right now. Let's do one more news dump.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out.
They got all the news.
The morning news dump.
All right. You've heard the news by now. Republican candidate Matt Van Epps was elected to fill that congressional seat left vacant by former Congressman Mark Green. That's in Tennessee. He defeated Democratic candidate Afton Bain in what was a very, very highly watched election. And what's going to be the priority now that he adds an additional vote to the Republicans? Here's part of his victory speech.
Together, we'll bring down the cost of living. I'm tired of too many Republicans ceding affordability to the Democrats.
All right. So basically, you had a deep red district. The outcome really wasn't in doubt, even though the media and the politics tried to tell us otherwise.
Yeah, I think the most surprising thing about this outcome is not that a Republican won in a red area. I think that it's the fact that the person that said that they hated Nashville won Nashville.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, she did. I heard that audio. She literally is like listing everything she hates about Nashville. And this was years ago, but she hates country music. I think she said something about the touristy type stuff, but she just hates the city. But you know what? Tribalism wins out on these elections a lot.
I like to. I'm going to choose to believe that in Nashville, they're like, wait a sec, that is us. She totally gets us. We hate us too. Let's vote for her.
Hey, a lot of blue areas, people hate themselves without a doubt. Okay, the Democratic-run St. Louis County government facing an $80 million budget shortfall in 2026. Jeez. Remember when we used to gasp when we heard it was only $60 million?
Wow.
I mean, only $60 million. Well, now it's $80 million, according to County Executive Sam Page. And his solution, well, he wants to use the NFL Rams settlement money and then tax increases to make up the difference in 2026.
But he knows you can't tax and borrow and print your way out of spending issues, right?
I don't know that he knows that.
Somebody should tell him.
Somebody should tell him. Yeah, the Republican minority, and to be fair, at least one of the Democrats on the county council, they say major spending cuts have got to happen. Part of the 2026 county budget, not all of it, but part of it could be voted on as early as next week.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah. Good luck. That's all I got to say. I mean, really, the $80 million.
$80 million deficit for 1 year. And the Democrats' reaction is, well, we got to start extracting more money from people. We got to start taxing more. And the Rams settlement money is all sitting right there. And we're still arguing over it decades later. And he basically says, well, we're overspending. Just backfill us. That's not what the settlement's for.
That's not how economics works out.
No, it's just not. It's just, I mean, it's Sam Page is what happens when you let the kids run the entire thing. I mean, the kids who don't understand squat.
Yeah.
Out there. That's what happens. But then again, he was able to have his team put together a budget which shows an $80 million budget shortfall in between his appearances in his criminal trial. So, geez. Okay. The former president of Honduras has now been released from a U.S. prison after receiving a pardon from President Trump.
Juan Orlando Hernandez was sentenced last year to 45 years for helping drug traffickers move hundreds of tons of cocaine to the U.S., but he's a free man now after Donald Trump granted him a full and complete pardon. The president said he took the action because he believed the former Honduran president was set up. His pardon of a convicted drug trafficker comes at the same time as the Trump administration is taking military action against drug runners in the Caribbean. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Yeah, at the very least, this is a really weird look right now.
Yeah, I mean, on the one hand, we're blowing up boats that are suspected of peddling drugs and transporting drugs. On the other hand, we're pardoning somebody that was convicted of bringing drugs to the U.S.
Literally like 400 tons of cocaine.
Yeah, and I didn't get to have any of that, so I'm especially peeved about that. Now, Susie's very smart, and she says it's still a little bit too early to actually have a full judgment. There might be some other things we're not privy to yet, so we need to wait, and I trust her, so I'm going to try to withhold judgment, but it does feel a little weird, the dichotomy of this right now.
Okay, so now what we know about this strike on the boat in September, I guess it was. There was a hit. The boat was disabled. It was dead in the water. And it looks like there were a couple of guys of the 13 on board, 11 were killed. or 11 on board, 9 were killed. There were 2 survivors. And then we hit them with another strike while they were stranded in the water. That's got people asking questions, and it's not just the left that's doing that. Pete Hegseth has said, well, that's part of the fog of war. Well, we haven't declared a war. Others will say, well, this is, they've renamed drug dealers narco terrorists. Now, listen, bad guys are still bad guys.
Yeah.
But we still have to say, okay, who and what are we, and which laws are going to guide and restrain us? So Eric Schmidt was asked about this on the Ingram Angle on Fox last night.
Pete Hegseth is doing a good job. These narco terrorists are poisoning 100,000 Americans every year. There was nothing wrong here. They're clearly justified in the action. What's really happening here, though, is the Democrats never wanted Pete Hegseth in the first place.
Okay, so you guys know that I have known Eric Schmidt a very long time. I consider him a friend. I'm with him 95% of the time. Add me to the list, if you haven't already, of those who are questioning our tactics here. And I'm a language guy. I'm a communications guy. We have renamed criminal suspects narco terrorists. And therefore we're saying, well, if we just declare you this, then we get to blow you up fairly indiscriminately. And hopefully all the hits that we've had have been on legitimate drug smuggling boats. But it's been pointed out that when the Coast Guard basically accosts and stops boats suspected of drug smuggling, they're right about 85% of the time. That's a really high percentage, but it's not 100%.
Bingo. Yeah. And I mean, I guess technically if we haven't declared war on them, they're not war crimes. So at least we're safe on that end. But yeah, you want to talk about narco terrorists. We have actual narco terrorists just south of our border. Look up how many Mexican politicians were assassinated last cycle and realize that these are the people that are the most urgent threat. Why are we focusing on boats when clearly they have enough boats that they don't care that they're being blown up to begin with? It's not deterring them from trying to smuggle the drugs from there, but we have a much urgent threat that's right at our back door, and we're not doing very much about that.
I want the drug boats stopped too, but I also want us to be the country that does it the right way. And if they figure out that through our laws and constitution, I don't give a crap about international laws or anything. I don't care about that we're well within the restraints of the Constitution and the law. Oh, okay. I mean, but I do think it's fair that we're asking the questions right now as these continue.
Absolutely.
Yep. Okay. A U.S. attorney charged 8 men last week with wire fraud, accusing them of taking fraudulent payments from Minnesota's housing stabilization services. This is turning out to be a big deal. Part of the the Minnesota's Department of Human Services. And that's all part of what is believed to have been defrauded. And it was federal money. President Trump blaming the Somali community for widespread fraud around that state. The city of Memphis now saying there's ICE enforcement all over targeting the Somali area, which is a big part of Minneapolis. Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara, though he vows that his department and his city is not cooperating with federal agents.
The Minneapolis Police Department does not work with federal law enforcement for the purpose of conducting immigration enforcement. We don't provide information to federal immigration authorities. We don't ask people about their immigration status.
So the Treasury is investigating, the feds are investigating accusations that Somali immigrants are funneling stolen money from these federal housing programs to Al-Shabaab, which is an Al-Qaeda affiliate in Somalia.
And the official response from representatives of the state is we're not even going to consider this worth looking into.
The city is like, we're going to protect, the bill. Tim Walz, the governor, it's really, really ugly, really ugly. All right. The St. Louis County Animal Shelter in Olivet is waiving adoption fees today.
Yay.
Yep. While they still have overcrowding, it's still bad. It's not as bad as it was before, but they need to find foster and permanent homes for all of the critters. All the animals that are up for adoption have been vetted. They've been spayed. They've been neutered. They're up to date on their vaccinations. They've got microchip, the whole 9 yards. They're just waiving the adoption fees today.
So you have everything, all the expensive costs, all the time consuming things are already taken care of.
Already done.
And trust me, as somebody that's fostered dogs, there are communities out there. If you need help with bedding, with toys, with food, that would be more than happy. So really, if you are somebody that should be fostering, this is the time to actually do it.
They're open until 7 p.m. tonight. The Blues trade forward Nikita Alexandrov to the Kings. In exchange, they're going to get Akil Thomas, who's a prospect forward currently playing for the Kings AFL affiliate. Thomas is going to report to the Springfield Thunderbirds of Massachusetts, which is the Blues AFL affiliate. So the Blues are like, this season sucks. We are going to get some people to skate right off this team, even if all we're getting is a minor leaguer form.
Wow.
And that's what happened.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
There's something wrong with him. He's a sick puppy.
On NewsTalkSTL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Chance Scotch with your first alert forecast. Temperatures going to continue to climb towards the upper 30s today. Partly cloudy skies. Eventually, as we head towards the late afternoon and early evening hours, we could see a little bit of a wintry mix across the area. Overnight lows cool back down towards mid-teens across much of the area, then partly cloudy and dry as we head off throughout the rest of the week into the upcoming weekend. Temperatures into Thursday cooler, only looking at afternoon highs into the lower 20s across the region. In the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Scotch.
Fox News commentary with Craig Gutfeld. Next.
If a Lenovo computer for your business is on your holiday list, don't shop around. Just go directly to the source, Lenovo.com. It's your last chance to get exclusive deals on the PCs you want for your business, like the ThinkPad X9 14 Aura Edition and Yoga 7i 2-in-1. So avoid all that shopping chaos and price comparing, and just go directly to the source, Lenovo.com, where PCs are up to 35% off. That's Lenovo.com.
Lenovo. Here's Greg Gutfeld.
So 2 hero National Guard members were shot in D.C. Chalk up another victory for lack of accountability. Because if you haven't noticed, the National Guard was only in D.C. to clean up another Democrat mess. D.C. crime became unbearable due to no accountability, no consequences. And because of the terror among Dems, that enforcement might be called racist. So Trump sends in the National Guard because somebody has to be the grown-up, which is where those poor guardsmen meet another Democrat fail. An Afghan in this country with no real vetting, accountability, and clearly no follow-up, who got waved in because Dems are terrified someone might call them racist. It's the Democratic Party's entire governing philosophy. First, create disaster. Second, ignore disaster. Third, attack anyone trying to undisaster the disaster.
For more commentary like this, go to foxnewspodcast.com.
Hi, Sean Long with STL FenceWorks. Our company realized another extraordinary year of great business. I thank God for engineering our success and for this great nation and all the blessings it offers those who persevere and work hard. Second, I want to personally thank the great customers who put their faith in our company to make their home and backyard dreams a vision fulfilled. STL FenceWorks doesn't exist without you, and I'm humbled and grateful for your patronage. I also want to thank all my great employees. You're the backbone of STL FenceWorks. You make my vision a reality. I'm truly honored to work amongst such fine people. Finally, as the year ends, I want to remind everyone to take time to enjoy the season. Embrace your family and friends. Count the blessings in your life. Reflect on the important things. And don't forget the true meaning of Christmas. When a baby was born, Jesus, our Savior. On behalf of everyone at STL FenceWorks, have a very Merry Christmas and a blessed and prosperous New Year.
Larry Connors here, welcoming Tom Shaw Realtors. Nearly 100 years helping folks buy, sell, acreage, homes, horse property. Call Tom, 636-432-1922. 432-1922.
Chris Arps here, and after Becky and I leave church on Sunday, we head down the street to Capriotti's to grab a classic meatball sub. And of course, for dessert, I get a giant chocolate chip cookie. I love Capriotti's, and you will too.
On Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
Free speech is alive and well in America.
Thanks for taking my call.
Right here.
We know what's going on.
Have a great awakening.
You see through the smoke screen.
It's cool to be woke.
News Talk STL.
Until it's not.
News, analysis, opinion.
Larry Connors here. I begin my morning every day with the Mike Ferguson Morning Show while I'm doing my 10-mile run. Catch my program at 6. Now, back to Mike.
This is one of those bigger picture things. I mean, we're about to tell you about a completely absurd story, but it's happening over there. happening across the pond. But here's the thing. The reason that I want us understanding these stories is because it could happen here. And we have had attempts of making government so powerful and intrusive that you could be facing criminal charges for wrongthink.
Yes.
I mean, earlier today, we talked about, government, remember when they tried their misinformation czar and all of that sort of thing. We found out that they're just repackaging some of that and trying to sneak it back in to indoctrinate young people. We have already, I am convinced, we being collectively, like society, I think we've forgotten a lot of the lessons of what happens. We've forgotten the COVID lessons of what happens when we allow government to have unchecked authority over all of us. We have freaking forgotten. And then if there's another crisis, because I get alerts every once in a while from the county health department, they're still trying to gin up fear. Oh, there's a new variant of this. And people right now are going, whatever. We don't care.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 2 or 3 weeks ago, all of us were like stuffed up and all that stuff. I think that might've been COVID. I don't know.
Very well.
It may very well could have been. I don't know. I didn't miss any days of work on it. I mean, it was like one of the wimpier colds that I had. I thought it was a sinus infection. Maybe that's what it was. I don't know. But I've seen some every once in a while, somebody's putting up on social media, remember what they did to you.
Yes.
And then they'll show pictures, they'll show the articles. And at the time, people were angry if you pushed back because they bought hook, line, and sinker the government narrative, and some Republicans did it too. Mike Parson issued a stay-at-home order for the entire state that was unconstitutional. That was the farthest thing from small government. It was just plain wrong and evil. I think Mike's a good guy, but I think he was in way over his head, and that was a horrible thing that he did, and everybody who disobeyed it was the right thing. I disobeyed as many of those orders as I could.
Good.
I mean, I just did. And I was one of those who had the novel virus. I mean, I was in the hospital with the thing, but I still feared and I said this on media. I was interviewed all over the country because I was one of the first people that had it in this area. And I said, I still fear the government authoritarianism more than I fear any virus at all. And that was met with mixed results, including from Republicans.
Yeah, I was in a very similar boat. Very early on, it was kind of like, cool, I get paid to stay at home, and then that wore off. And then I realized, well, everybody's so afraid of everything that there's probably no traffic. Let's go for a drive. So I, within a very short amount of time, I started disobeying as well. My fear, and I did end up eventually catching it as an unvaxxed individual, but I was taking care of my grandparents. And my grandmother, when she was alive, she was diabetic, and my grandfather has COPD. So it was more, at the very least, I know I can handle it. I don't want to spread to somebody else. I'm going to be careful, but I'm not going to let my life be dictated by somebody else. And now with what we know now, we were right to be disobedient.
And so people were in different parts of the country being arrested for what they were saying online, or in parts of the world, excuse me. They were being arrested for questioning, arrested for saying we shouldn't go along with this.
Actual legitimate virologists, scientists were being deplatformed and banned from social media for speaking up and saying, well, this is not conclusive research, and here's what we're finding. You got kicked off of Facebook, you got kicked off YouTube, you got censored, sometimes you got fired.
Well, in the UK and in places like New Zealand, there were people actually arrested for going online and saying something that went against the government narrative. Now, that brings us to where we are right now. I said all of that to set up. You found this story earlier today. There's a guy in England who got in trouble, and it's related to you aren't allowed to say that on social media. What happened?
So this story, it hits close to home because I'm very thankful we live in a constitutional carry state. And going back to Illinois reminded me just how essential it is for us to protect these rights. So there was a guy from the UK, and this comes from Fox 35 News, Orlando. So this guy named John, I can't pronounce that, but John Booth, he's a British IT consultant, and he was arrested by police in England for posting photos of him holding a gun while he was on holiday in America. And for people watching the stream right now, that's not watching the stream, this is a gentleman with head protection on. He's at like a pond, outdoor recreational looking area. He's got a shotgun. And basically what happened was he was here on holiday legally. So if you're here as a tourist, you can still go to a firing range and fire guns. So somebody took this photo of him, he liked it, he shared it on LinkedIn to say, hey, look, I was in the States and I got to fire a gun. And what the police are charging him with is that there are complaints made against him over the photo because they're claiming that he posted it with the intent to cause fear and violence by posting this. So they're claiming that him posting this video of him having fun, which again, you can see on the stream, that was him intentionally trying to cause fear and disruption, and people were reporting it because it made them feel unsafe, even though he was in the United States and then went back home.
So he wasn't in the UK.
Nope.
He did something in the United States that was 100% legal.
Yep.
Posted the image while he was in the United States.
Correct.
Shows up at home and the government says, no, we own you enough that we will not allow you to say that. Now, keep in mind, in the UK, we're talking in Scotland and in England and some other areas, they are literally arresting people for being contrarian on Facebook and X. There was somebody sentenced, I think they were originally sentenced to 20 years in prison. They're not going to serve that much, but sentenced to years in prison for saying that men cannot become women, women cannot become men, for opposing LGBT agenda, for speaking out against the Islamic takeover of places like London.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically all of this Marxist thinking, because their right wing and left wing is a little bit different than ours, but all of this Marxist thinking, governments are showing up, knocking on their door, putting them in handcuffs and trying them and convicting them. And the government is completely unapologetic about that. But also go back to COVID. Remember what happened in Canada.
Yes.
As well. So that's why we have to, by the way, that guy did not know how to hold a gun. Just to point out.
I didn't say he was a good outdoorsman. I just said he
if you're going to charge him with something, charge him with not how to, anyway. But I'm saying is that we sometimes get in this bubble and we say, well, that couldn't happen here. Those crazy Europeans or whatever, they want that to happen here. And as recently as the Biden administration, there were efforts to classify some speech as some sort of crime, some sort of level of illegality, because it challenged narratives and because it encouraged people to push back and redress their grievances.
And if the behavior of the left right now and their celebration of violence is not enough to get you to actually realize that these next few years are extremely important with the direction that we're going to go as a nation.
Yeah.
So going back to the Canada thing, there were Americans that had their Banksy platformed.
Yeah, that's right. Including Paul Kurtman
for talking positively about President Trump, or for trying to support the trucker convoy and help them protest the unlawful and the vile mandates that were going on. You had Kamala Harris. One of her promises was day one, if she becomes president, she's going to issue an executive order to confiscate guns and to do, I would have done a buyback, but now I'm going to send in people to kick down doors and take away quote unquote assault rifles. She doesn't even know what an assault rifle is. You had the social media censorship from the Biden administration. You had intel agents lying about things and covering stuff up. So if this idea that this could not happen here, that one day we're not going to see people getting arrested, and even to go back to the UK, there was a girl who was assaulted by a group of men.
That's right.
And her
in
father,
Scotland. This was in Scotland.
And the father spoke up against the people that attacked them, and the father was charged with hate speech. Which,
because it was a roving group of Muslims that attacked she's 16 or 17 or something like that, and attempted to rape her. And she's the one that had the knife and ran off at least one of them. But it was a group of third world Muslims who attacked her, and they're the ones who got in trouble.
Yes, and the father, and so they were going to charge the daughter with using a knife as a weapon, and then the father for hate speech. So the father got a harsher conviction than the guys that were trying to sexually assault a minor.
Yeah,
that, and you look at the pro censorship, the pro you can't speech is violence for the left rhetoric. I mean, why would we not think that this could not happen here?
Well, and for instance, you go back to this guy who got arrested by showing back up. I think they arrested him at Heathrow, like at the airport, I think. And there's
a comedian as well that we just talked about a couple
there was
ago.
one of those. Yeah. And so you may say, well, they'll sort it out. They're not going to go through. Oh, no. They'll go through with it. He's probably going to do time.
There was, we played this on the Dr. Tobler show. Even there was a gentleman who reposted something on Facebook. Somebody else had already posted, and the person got mad because it made him look stupid. So the original poster called the police on the guy that reposted his thing, said, this person offends me. The cops showed up to arrest the guy that reposted the post that was already. That is how insane these people have gotten.
Yeah. And that's the bottom line of big government thinking. And don't think for a minute that the Zoran Mamdamis of the world don't like this pattern of government. This is the Marxist playbook, because the ultimate goal is God is the state is God, and government runs your individual lives to the point of there is wrong think and wrong speak, and you're not allowed to think or speak differently than what the government tells you. And we're seeing that in real time right now.
And these people that call themselves Antifa are not against authoritarianism. They're just mad because their authoritarians are not the ones in power right now.
Yeah, they want their authoritarian.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Dr. Alan Link, owner of the Dental Link. You've heard ads about teeth in a day, but did you know that you'll be chewing on plastic, acrylic teeth? Here at the Dental Link, we can give you porcelain crown and bridge teeth utilizing mini dental implants that function much more like real teeth at about half the cost. Plus, mini dental implants are less invasive, less painful, and your recovery time is much shorter. Give us a call at 314-794-6464 or simply visit us today at thedentallink.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on NewsTalkSTL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
If you're worried about losing your health insurance through Medicaid, we have great news for you. New government regulations have expanded the Affordable Care Act. And now you may qualify to get health insurance for you and your family through the Affordable Care Act. Call now to learn if you qualify. We know the healthcare regulations regarding Medicaid, and we've helped thousands of people find quality, affordable health insurance. Plus, all our research is free to you. So call us. With just one call, we'll shop from hundreds of different insurance companies to find you the right affordable health insurance plan. So if you're worried about losing your Medicaid insurance, call right now. Speak with a licensed agent and find how you may qualify for a new health insurance plan.
800-479-0931. 800-479-0931. 800-479-0931. That's 800-479-0931. Paid for by the Health Insurance Hotline.
Columbo and Company.
Jasmine Crockett somehow continues to make her Epstein comments from weeks ago worse for herself. We'll explain the latest Wednesday. Plus, Rodney Boyd, Danny Define, and we'll open Close's cabinet.
Live and local, weekdays at 2 on NewsTalkSTL.
Hi, it's Vic Porcelli.
And Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Hey, Vic.
Ken and I are on every Monday through Friday here on News Talk STL. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Whoosh, my morning, people.
Okay, real quick. Congratulations to our own Nick Schroer.
Yes.
Yes. He, as you know, in addition to his duties being in the state Senate, he actually hosts a couple of shows for us here on the weekend, Stand and Fight, St. Charles Patriot Radio, and in the American Legislative Exchange Council's kind of national shindig last night in Texas. He was actually awarded the Antonin Scalia Award for bringing balance back to government. Yeah. So if you go to News Talk STL's social media, particularly Facebook, we have actually reposted the pictures from that last night. A lot of the Freedom Caucus folks were at that. So congratulations to Nick. The trolls are trying to go after him already, which
good
they
luck.
Always do. Yeah. Have fun with that. You know, we'll see how that works out for you, but congratulations, Nick Schroer. And then obviously you can hear him this weekend on News Talk STL here as well.
Yeah, and I mean, he's not only very entertaining to follow online, but you listen to him and you can tell he really does have a passion for trying to keep Missouri sane. So if anybody deserves it, I would absolutely say Nick Schroer is among the very top, the cream of the crop, as Macho Man Randy Savage would say.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It's kind of funny. Everybody has an impression because it's so easy to do that particular, but you can't go wrong with it.
And I only say that one because there was a photo that he had of his face photoshopped on like an old WCW wrestler. I'm like, okay, so if he's listening, hopefully he knows he's the cream of the crop.
That's right. Oh my goodness. All right. Also, just real quick here as well, our friends at Nutrition Stop, because I talk about them quite a bit. I mean, obviously, I'm running out there today because I ran out of my protein. I need to go get that. This Saturday, the 6th is Saturday, right? Yeah. So Saturday, December 6th, noon to 3, they're having an indoor farmers market, kind of a holiday edition for that. Whole lot of free food samples, free drink samples, yes, including the adult beverages, and a lot of local vendors with real food. So there's going to be a lot of things you can try, just no reservations needed. Just kind of show up and just go to nutritionstop.com and give you the directions, or put in Nutrition Stop on your maps, and it'll take you right there. I'm actually going to be there this afternoon, or right around midday. I'm leaving from here and I got to grab a couple things, so I'll be there, but I'm also going to be there at this on Saturday.
Are you going to have a cardboard cutout of like the before and after with like, you and your big jeans and then what you look like now?
I actually, I'm sure there are pictures of me when I was much, much bigger. I don't know where they are, but I'm sure there are some out there.
You got to find like the old jeans and just be like, look, this is what it did for me.
I'd like the old, the Weight Watchers commercials. that did that.
The Nutrition Stop photos, right?
Yeah. But yeah, it's out there. And, the last time I went to one of these, it was a lot of fun, but 2, oh my gosh, the food was good. And they're like, here, take another plate, take another, they just, it's going to be a lot of fun. So check that out.
Yeah. You've brought me some of their jerky, and I'm a big jerky guy. Their jerky is amazing. And Ryan, I mean, we've had him on a few times and he is I have not met somebody that has as much patience for my dumb questions as I have Ryan. So if you're out there and you're a little intimidated, you're like, I hear Mike talk about it all the time. I see the stream. I know he's in better shape, but I just don't know where I need to start. Just talk to Ryan.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. The whole team. I mean, they're really, matter of fact, that my wife asked me, she wants to, she's like, I don't like the vitamins I've got. Can you get me some next time you're out there? So I was out there a few days ago. And, I found Laura. I'm like, Laura, got a chick question for you. My wife wants new vitamins. Here's the situation. And, she went and compared and she goes, yep, here's the one you need. So, I think Rachel's back. Yeah. She got back from DC overnight. So she was in DC. And so she hasn't got those yet, but yeah, they were just very, very, very helpful. So check that out. December 6th, noon to 3, totally free. Worth the trip out there. Okay. So when you look back, kind of at a lot of the stuff that, we've covered today, obviously the big news is the Tennessee special election.
Yes.
And it's really only the big news for a couple of reasons. One, because no other elections were happening. So it was the one that was happening. But the left really, really, really wanted to flip that seat. The media wanted to flip that seat. They had no chance of flipping that seat. I mean, which is one of the reasons I think media and the pollsters just lied about how close that was. But here's the thing, is some of the headlines that I saw when I got up this morning still tried to frame this as a Democratic win because Afton Bain came so close. Well, she got blown out by 9 points. That's not close.
It was not a knockout punch, but it was definitely a TKO.
It was, what that means is she was not going to win.
No.
At all. But they say, but Donald Trump won that district by 22. So that shows all this momentum. Okay, first of all, presidential races are their own animal. I think it's silly to say we're going to judge what's going to happen in any other race by the presidential race. You're better off saying, well, what did the governor do? In that race, in that district, and that sort of thing. That's a lot closer to it, because the presidential thing, I mean, Trump won, I think they said 22 points in that district. I mean, it's a red district.
Yeah.
But the fact that they won by 10 points, or he won by almost 10 points, 9 point whatever points, shows that it's still a red district. It was always going to be a red district. And the Republicans get a little bit of breathing room. They've got such that tiny minority. They've got other members of Congress who are resigning. I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene is going to be gone come January. And then there's some others who are announcing they're not going to be running for re-election. I don't know what's going to happen in 2026 elections. I know a lot of people look around saying, well, how could people possibly vote and put the Democrats back in charge in Congress? Well, the reality is that voters make weird decisions, and Republicans get very, very squishy in election years. The boldness that got them the big majority, the bigger majority in the Senate and the narrow majority in the House, the boldness that they won with last time tends to go away in off-year elections. And so if the Republicans were to be bolder and put the fight up and keep going with some of the things that they've done, you look at how much they held their ground during the shutdown. You look at how much they held their ground with the rescissions. You look at how much they held their ground, and they were rewarded for it. So my hope is that the Republicans hold on to this newfound thing called a spine that they've got in Washington, D.C., because I think they've got a better chance of having a good showing and maintaining the majorities if they don't get squishy and then decide, well, the Democrats want this, let's just meet them in the middle. Don't do that crap again, because if we're going to get leftist thinking, then we might as well get the professional leftist and not the amateur wannabe leftist. Be bold, move to the conservative free market direction. I mean, I'd like to see a lot more free market coming out of Republicans. They're not really conservative right now, but they really need to hold on to that backbone.
Well, and then I've been mulling over, like, how do the polls keep getting it wrong? But when President Trump was talking to Joe Rogan about what the polls were saying about, him versus Harris, it's like, well, if it's within a certain margin, people are going to stay home because they feel secure enough that they have it. But if it's not within that margin, then that's when people that if you're on the losing side will actually show up because they still think they can flip it.
That's why they lie. Yeah. I'm sure it is. I have no idea. I remember back when I was a reporter covering, and I guess this was I think it was the Obama race, the first time Obama was elected. And I'm sitting back there in the media bullpen covering one of the local congressional races. And I'm sitting back there with like the Washington press folks. And they were openly talking about, yeah, we knew this was going to be a blowout, but we had to make it look like it was close to keep people engaged. They behind closed doors, they even acknowledge, or they did when I was around, that they acknowledged that, oh yeah, it was never that close. We knew it, but hey, we got to do what we got to do.
Hey, Columbo here for Intervine, a great local company that has customers